Chapter 382. This was not the first time Huangli Island was besieged by the demon race. Due to its unique geographical location, it was bound to be a thorn in the demon race's flesh. However, in the past, the demon race had besieged Huangli Island several times. Every time, Lu Ping and the others relied on Huangli Island's unusually strong island guarding array to hold on until the cultivators from their sect arrived through the teleportation array. As time passed, the cultivators who frequented Huangli Island became more relaxed about the demon race's besiegement. As long as they hid within the island's protective array before the demonic beasts arrived, not only could they repel the attacks of the demonic beasts, but after the demonic beasts retreated, the slain demonic beasts would also bring a large amount of cultivation resources to the cultivators of Huangli Island. Some greedy cultivators even looked forward to the demonic beasts besieging Huangli Island. It was precisely because of Huangli Island's reputation for its sturdiness that it did not break after being besieged by monstrous beasts several times. Not only did it attract more and more cultivators to Huangli Island, but every time there was a beast tide in the sea near Huangli Island, the number of cultivators on Huangli Island would also reach a peak. For these cultivators, every time a beast tide attacked Huangli Island, it was a great opportunity to collect cultivation resources. However, the situation this time was clearly not good. Just when the cultivators who went out discovered that the demonic beasts were gathering to form a beast tide, they returned to the island and reported the news to the people on the island. Before the cultivators on the island could recover from their excitement, an intense spiritual chi fluctuation came from the teleportation array of Huangli Island, followed by the sound of spells exploding throughout the entire island. Chen Lian rushed to the teleportation array of Huangli Island the moment the incident happened. He saw that the teleportation array on Huangli Island had been destroyed. On the ground were the corpses of 2 Zhenling blood condensation disciples. Another 2 were severely injured and unconscious. In addition, there were 2 blood condensation cultivators dressed in hemp clothes lying on the ground. Beside them were 4 to 5 other blood condensation cultivators dressed in hemp clothes. At a glance, Chun Lian could tell that they were from the same group. At this moment, these people were being besieged by the cultivators on the island. Seeing that, Chun Lian understood what had happened. Clearly, this group of cultivators in hemp clothes had attacked the Zhenling disciples guarding the teleportation array and destroyed the teleportation array. After that, they were besieged by the cultivators nearby. Chun Lian's appearance brought joy to the faces of the cultivators gathered around the teleportation array. When the cultivators in hemp clothes saw Chen Lian, there was no change in their expressions. However, all of them suddenly attacked without any regard for their lives. For a moment, the cultivators surrounding them were unable to do anything to them. Chen Lian harumphed and flicked his finger. Several fireballs exploded beneath the feet of the hemp-robed cultivators, sending them flying. By the time they fell to the ground, they had already fainted. Another ray of light descended from the sky above Huangli Island. It was Hu Lili. What happened? Chen Lian withdrew his hand from the head of one of the cultivators. His face was so dark that it looked like water was about to come out. He said, "These cultivators' sea of consciousness have restrictions placed on them. They are death warriors under someone's control." Hu Lili's expression changed. She said, "Not good. The beast tide is coming soon. These people must be the human pets of the Yao clan." Chun Lian immediately reacted and said, "Not good. If that is the case, the Yao clan must have more than this." As soon as Chen Lian's voice fell, he heard a burst of exclamations from the cultivators on the island. When he looked over, he saw that the sea around Huangli Island had suddenly surged with waves that were several tens of feet high. They surged towards Huangli Island at the same time. As the surrounding waves came closer, the waves grew taller and taller. By the time Huangli Island entered, the entire wave had actually reached several tens of feet high. It far surpassed the tallest hill on Huangli Island. At this moment, when the cultivators on Huangli Island looked up, apart from the walls of water around them, there was only a few miles of sky. Although the tsunami attack launched by the Yao clan was not as majestic as the waves Lu Ping had seen on Silver Sword Island, how could Huangli Island compare to Silver Sword Island? Chun Lian looked at the approaching waves. He suddenly turned to Hu Lili and said, "Quickly go and protect the island's protective array." If the Yao clan's human pets attack again, they will certainly find a way to break the island's protective array. Hu Lili had already thought of this. As soon as Chen Lian's voice fell, she flew towards the direction of the cave residence. However, just as Hu Lili's evasive light rose, a giant axe chopped towards Hu Lili's head. Hu Lili was startled. There was actually a core forging expert on Huangli Island. Could it be that such a high-level cultivator was also a human pet? Before Hu Lili could attack, a flaming stone suddenly flew past Hu Lili's side and smashed the giant axe away. At the same time, the flaming stone also exploded in the sky. I will block this person. Senior Marshal Sister, return to the cave residence first. Unknowingly, Chunlian had also rushed over from behind and blocked the attack of the giant axe. Hu Lili knew that this was not the time to be modest. Chunlian leapt forward. When the giant axe was knocked away, the attacker had already exposed himself. As expected, it was a core-forging human cultivator. However, he must have used some kind of secret technique to hide his cultivation. He was actually able to sneak into Huangli Island without being detected. When Chen Lian attacked the cultivator, Hu Lili continued to fly towards the cave residence. Chun Lian's voice came from behind. You are a core-forging cultivator. Why are you willing to be a slave of the Yao clan and attack your own clansmen? The cultivator wielding the giant axe had a wooden expression. Without saying a word, he raised the giant axe and attacked Chun Lian again. The battle between the two caused the surrounding blood condensation cultivators to retreat. Hu Lili couldn't care less about the explosions of spells behind her. Just as she was about to fall into the cave residence, a gust of cold wind blew. Wind blades and ice swords filled the sky and shot towards Hu Lili. Hu Lili's heart sank. The other party actually had a core forging cultivator. Clearly, he knew the layout of Huangli Island like the back of his hand. A cyan light flashed out from Hu Lili's eyes. She took off the veil that was draped over her shoulder and swung it forward. Instantly, the wind blades and ice swords that filled the sky disappeared. Then, a cultivator suddenly rushed out from behind the veil and hacked down on Hu Lili's head with a blade. A look of ridicule flashed in Hu Lili's eyes. Just as the cultivator's large blade was about to hit Hu Lili's figure suddenly disappeared. The surrounding scenery immediately changed, becoming hazy as if a layer of thin veil had covered everything. The cultivator's body surged with true essence. With a loud shout, he became one with the blade and slashed forward again. With a tearing sound, the long, thin veil was cut open. At this moment, Hu Lili had already avoided the cultivator's obstruction and arrived in front of the cave residence's grand array. At this moment, the seawater that had risen to a height of several tins of zhong finally poured down. Hu Lili, who had yet to enter the cave residence, had a huge change in her expression. The cultivators on the island cried out in alarm. Amidst the muffled sound, Huangli Island seemed to have been buried in the depths of the sea. Under the impact of the seawater, the island's grand array began to sway, then became grotesque and dazzling. In the end, the island's grand array had withstood the impact of the seawater, but the light curtain of the grand array had also become as thin as paper. Just as the cultivators on the island were cheering for the sturdiness of the island's grand array, they saw several rays of light flying in the sky. Several attacks hit the island's grand array one after another. Suddenly, several large holes were pierced through the grand array. The demon beasts that had gathered outside the island had leaped into Huangli Island before the holes, which had not yet closed. Suddenly, battle cries rang out everywhere on Huangli Island, and the demon beasts and human cultivators were engaged in a fierce battle. At this time, Hu Lili had already entered the cave residence. The impact of the huge amount of seawater and the attacks from the core forging stage demon beasts had weakened the island's grand array to the extreme in an instant. Half of the spirit stones inlaid on the array disk had already exploded, and the spiritual chi in the spirit vein that was used to supply the array was temporarily insufficient. Hu Lili quickly activated the array. Except for the two small spirit veins that were used by Lu Ping, the spiritual power of the remaining spirit vein was used by Hu Lili to operate the island's grand array. Outside Huangli Island, the light curtain of the island's grand array, which was already thin and easily pierced by the core forging stage demon beasts, suddenly brightened and became a bit thicker. The core forging stage demon beasts attacked again, but this time, only a few mid-core forging stage demon beasts managed to pierce through the grand array. Not good. The island's grand array has begun to recover so quickly. What are those two human beasts doing? Useless. The core forging stage demon beasts outside the island had a change of expression. Several mid-core forging stage demon beasts suddenly joined forces and attacked the island's grand array from the same direction. This time, it was not the demon beasts that took the opportunity to enter, but 3 early core forging stage demon beasts. After the 3 demon beasts broke into the island, the entire island's grand array lit up and completely recovered. Inside the Immortal's cave, Lily ran her fingers through her wet hair. The array disc in front of her had been replaced with all the broken spirit stones as fast as she could. With the joint effect of the spirit stones and the spiritual vein, the island's great protective array could withstand the continuous attacks of the core forging stage demon cultivators outside the island. At this moment, a sudden explosion came from outside the grand array. Although the grand array was not as tough as the island's grand array, it was still not something that could be easily broken by an early core forging stage cultivator. However, looking at the grand array that was on the verge of collapse, Lily suddenly thought of something. She immediately spread out her divine sense, and her delicate and pretty face suddenly became unsightly. Outside the island, although Taoist Master Lu Hai and the other mid-core forging stage demon beasts were still repelled by the island's grand array and were unable to enter Huangli Island, the power of the joint attack of several people was not inferior to the full power of an ordinary late-core forging stage cultivator. They could still penetrate the grand array. Every time this happened, there would be several or dozens of demon beasts taking the opportunity to rush into Huangli Island and fight with the cultivators on the island. Dozens of miles west of Huangli Island, a red cloud quickly rushed over. Obviously, Taoist Master Chu Xuanqing, who was on Xianqi Island hundreds of miles away, had discovered something. However, at this time, a dark cloud also quickly rushed over from the east and quickly intercepted the red cloud halfway. Lily was burning with anxiety. At this time, Huangli Island was already filled with the sounds of killing. Among the Demon Clan core forging stage cultivators, including the 2 human pets that had already sneaked into the island, there were actually 5 people attacking Huangli Island. At this time, 2 of them were besieging Chanlian. 2 of them were about to break the grand array and kill their way in. The last one was wantonly slaughtering human cultivators on the island, weakening the resistance of Huangli Island. However, at this time, Huangli Island only had 2 core forging stage cultivators, Chanlian and herself. The transmission array on Huangli Island had also been broken. It was obviously impossible for the sect's reinforcements to arrive quickly. They could only rely on the strength of Huangli Island to resist. However, at this moment, the Demon Clan was obviously prepared. They were determined to win, and Huangli Island was on the verge of collapse. Did she really have to call out Lu Ping, who was in closed-door training? It was not easy for him to grasp the opportunity to break through to the mid-core forging stage. Although Lily was extremely unwilling at this time, only if Lu Ping came out of closed-door training in advance would there be some hope of saving Huangli Island. Miss Hu, do you need my help? Just when Lily was at a loss of what to do, a voice with a hint of immaturity suddenly came from behind. Lily was surprised. When she suddenly turned around, there was already a small electric array disc in her hand. She saw a 17 or 18-year-old boy with a bashful look on his face. He hurriedly waved his hand at Lily and said, "Miss Hu, don't misunderstand. I am a good friend of Lu Ping." Chapter 383. Inside the Spiritual Master's Cave on Dikuan Island. Come, let us raise our glasses and congratulate senior brother Xianchong for becoming the Spiritual Master of Dikuan Island. Several Jinling core forging cultivators raised their glasses together and congratulated a late-stage core forging cultivator sitting at the head of the table. Jinling's islands were generally divided into the island's resident cultivators and the island's guardian cultivators. Generally speaking, there was only one guardian cultivator, who was appointed by Jinling to guard the island. The resident cultivators had to listen to the guardian cultivator's orders. Now that spiritual master Xian Chong had become the spiritual master of Dikuan Island, he was equivalent to the island master of Dikuan Island and had jurisdiction over all the islands under Dikuan Island. As the enlightened masters toasted each other, they began to talk about the recent happenings in the North Sea's cultivation world. Enlightened Master Xian Chong listened attentively with a smile on his face. Lu Ping, as a prominent figure among the new generation of North Sea cultivators, was naturally the topic of conversation among the enlightened masters. When the topic of Lu Ping was brought up, enlightened Master Xian Chong cast an imperceptible glance at an enlightened master beside him. Just when everyone was praising Lu Ping for occupying Huangli Island in the hinterland of the demon race and turning it into a cultivation resource distribution center for Jinling in the outer sea, a voice suddenly sounded. This martial nephew Lu is a disciple of senior sister Tianling, so he is naturally an outstanding person. However, we have overestimated these juniors too much. If we become impatient, wouldn't we be harming them? The spiritual master deliberately pointed out that Lu Ping was a disciple of Lu Tianling Laozu. With a teacher like Lu Tianling, it was not a big deal for her disciple to have such achievements. As soon as the spiritual master's voice fell, someone else asked, "Senior brother Xian Qing, why do you say that?" Spiritual master Xian Qing picked up the wine glass in front of him and took a sip. Huangli Island is isolated in the outer sea and is already a speck of sand in the eyes of the demon race. However, this martial nephew Lu gathered at least 2 small spirit veins on Huangli Island. Don't you think he is deliberately attracting the demon race to attack? What? 2 small spirit veins? What a waste. 2 small spiritual veins are enough for 4 core forging cultivators to cultivate. Exactly. In such a dangerous place, there's always the possibility of being attacked by the demon clan. If Huangli Island falls, won't the 2 spiritual veins be taken by the demon clan? I heard that a few years ago, the Li clan was jumping up and down to report to the sect that their spirit vein had been stolen. At that time, Huangli Island was being reclaimed, and that martial nephew Lu had a grudge against the Li clan. Could it be that the Li clan's accusation that martial nephew Lu had stolen their spirit vein was true? Enlightened Master Xian Qing saw that his words had changed the topic of the cultivators' discussion about Lu Ping. He felt relieved and looked at enlightened Master Xian Chong, who nodded in satisfaction at his words. Taoist Xian Qing saw that the fire had been lit and decided to add more fuel to the fire, so he said, "I heard that martial nephew Lu's arrangements on Huangli Island are exceptionally grand. Just the island's protective formation alone is far stronger than the protective formation on a small island like Xianqi Island. Without the support of a spirit vein, such an island's protective formation would require at least 3 to 500,000 spirit stones to operate. Whether it is the formation plate or the spirit stones, they were all martial nephew Lu's own handiwork. He didn't ask for any support from the sect. I'm afraid only senior sister Tianling's disciple would have such courage." Spiritual Master Xian Qing's words were a bit explicit this time. Some of the spiritual masters became silent after hearing this, while some of their eyes were rolling around. No one knew what they were thinking. Spiritual Master Xian Qing decided to strike while the iron was hot and directly pointed out some things. In any case, most of the cultivators who came to congratulate Spiritual Master Xian Chong for guarding Dikuan Island were from his faction, or had a good relationship with his faction. It was only because Lu Tianling's Zhonghua faction was too strong, and the Xiaoyao faction was on the same side as her faction. In addition, Chu Xuanqing, Guo Xianshan, and Spiritual Master Xian Yin had a lot of weight in the sect and were close to them. Spiritual Master Xian Qing weighed his words and said, "This martial nephew Lu has been showing his independence in every way during the attack on Huangli Island. It may seem like he has nothing to do with our sect, but in reality, everything is inseparable from the sect's support. Let's not talk about other things, but during the attack on Huangli Island, other than Dao Master Mo Wei's subordinates, why didn't any other demon cultivators come? Wasn't it because our sect worked together in the other seas and the outer seas to restrain the strength of the demon race, allowing Huangli Island to be successfully recovered?" Spiritual Master Xian Qing's words were mixed with falsehood, causing many cultivators to nod their heads. Sure enough, a cultivator opened his mouth and said, "This martial nephew Lu wants to make Huangli Island his own territory." Spiritual Master Xian Qing's face lit up and said, "That's right. It seems that this martial nephew Lu wants to use our sect's support to satisfy his selfish desires. In turn, he wants to become successful and famous. This is a bit too much." Among the cultivators who came today, other than those who were on good terms with enlightened Master Xian Chong, the rest were either unsuccessful cultivators in the sect, or those who had given up on the path of cultivation. There were also those who wanted to establish their own clans. These cultivators were more or less selfish, and they were quite dissatisfied with Lu Ping, a rising star, and the sect's favoritism towards them. After enlightened Master Xian Qing's incitement, many of the cultivators also started to complain. At this time, Spiritual Master Xian Chong, who was sitting at the head of the table, said, "I think what everyone said is reasonable, but martial nephew Lu is after all senior sister Tianling's direct disciple. He won't set up his own sect, but relying on senior sister Tianling's trust for some personal gain is true. However, Huangli Island is deep in the demon race's hinterland. It would be too ostentatious to have these things gathered on the island. Moreover, martial nephew Lu is only an early core forging cultivator and a junior. Xinqi Island needs a highly respected peak core forging cultivator like senior brother Chu Xuanqing to guard it. Giving an important island like Huangli Island to martial nephew Lu is too much of a joke." As soon as Spiritual Master Xian Cheng's voice fell, Spiritual Master Xian Qing and several cultivators who were on good terms with him took the lead to support him. Spiritual Master Xian Chong smiled and said, "I think there's no harm in doing this. In view of the importance of Huangli Island, we might as well send a mid-core forging junior brother to guard it. At the same time, for early core forging junior brothers or martial nephews will accompany them in exchange for martial nephew Lu. This way, Huangli Island's defensive strength will be greatly increased. After all, martial nephew Lu is an outstanding talent among the new generation of core forging cultivators in our sect. As his elders, we should naturally protect him." Today, most of the cultivators present were core forging cultivators, who couldn't see that Spiritual Master Xian Qing and Spiritual Master Xian Chong were putting on an act. They couldn't hear the hidden meaning behind Spiritual Master Xian Cheng's words. However, the two spirit veins and a large amount of cultivation resources on Huangli Island made everyone have the same interests and similar goals. However, at this time, a cultivator opened his mouth and said, "I'm afraid it won't be that simple." After all, it was martial nephew Lu who took the initiative to recover Huangli Island. If he doesn't want to give up his position, with senior sister Tianling's support, I'm afraid there's nothing we can do. Senior sister Tianling's tyranny is not something we haven't experienced. If she is in the right, then we can't do anything to her. Now that her status has risen, even the other Laozus don't want to interfere too much. Taoist Master Xian Cheng's brows couldn't help but wrinkle. However, this situation was within his expectations, so he smiled and said, "Then let's change the method. We'll send a mid-core forging junior brother and 2 early core forging martial nephews to Huangli Island to help martial nephew Lu defend Huangli Island. This way, senior sister Tianling won't be able to say anything. After all, Huangli Island only has 2 core forging cultivators." Spiritual Master Xian Cheng's plan shocked the cultivators in the cave mansion. As long as a mid-core forging cultivator went, whether it was in terms of seniority or cultivation, he would be able to suppress Lu Ping. At that time, would Lu Ping be able to surpass this person? As time passed, it would be hard to say who would be guarding Huangli Island. The cultivator who spoke before thought for a moment and said again, "Even so, if we directly send people there, it will inevitably be criticized. After all, Huangli Island has been recovered for nearly 3 years. The demon race has launched a small beast tide to besiege Huangli Island more than once. But every time, martial nephew Lu was able to repel them." Spiritual Master Xian Qing curled his lips and said, "Senior brother Xian, he is too cautious. If we wait until Huangli Island's protective formation is broken by the demon race, do you think martial nephew Lu will be able to resist the demon race's attack? At that time, the spirit vein on the island will be snatched away, and it will be too late." Spiritual Master Xian He, who spoke before, did not reply. Obviously, he did not agree with Spiritual Master Xian Qing's words. At this moment, A cultivator hurriedly walked into the cave mansion and whispered a few words to Spiritual Master Xian Chang. Spiritual Master Xian Chang's face turned serious. Then he looked at the spiritual masters in the cave mansion and said with a smile, "Isn't this an opportunity? Xianxi Island just sent news that the demon race has besieged Huangli Island again. This time, the demon race's offensive is very fierce. Huangli Island's protective formation will most likely be destroyed." After hearing this, everyone's spirits rose. Spiritual Master Xian Qing happily said, "Then what are we waiting for? We will go now." At this time, Spiritual Master Xian he looked puzzled and said, "Strange, there is a transmission array on Huangli Island. Why did the news come from Xianxi Island?" As soon as Spiritual Master Xian he's voice fell, not only Spiritual Master Xian Qing, but Spiritual Master Xian Chang's expression also changed. "To the transmission array." Spiritual Master Xian Chang waved his hand, and more than a dozen spiritual masters in the cave mansion walked towards the transmission array on Dikuan Island. What? The transmission array to Huangli Island can't be used? That means the transmission array on Huangli Island is most likely destroyed? Then what about the transmission array to Xianxi Island? What? It was blocked by the array just now? The cultivators behind Spiritual Master Xian Chang were in an uproar. Someone actually snuck into Huangli Island, destroyed its transmission array, and also blocked the transmission array to Xianxi Island. Dikuan Island was 1,500 li away from Huangli Island. By the time everyone flew over, Huangli Island would have already been destroyed. Spiritual Master Xian Chang and Spiritual Master Xian Qing looked at each other. The current situation was completely out of their control. Chapter 384. Miss Hu, please don't misunderstand. I'm Brother Lu's good friend. Hu Lily didn't put away the small lightning formation plate in her hand. Instead, she looked at the teenager in front of her. Her eyes flashed with a green light as she said in a low voice, "Demon race?" The teenager smiled helplessly. At this time, 3 children with human bodies and snake tails walked out from behind the teenager. The girl in front of them said, "Aunt Hu, he really is father's good friend." Seeing Samling's confidence, Hu Lily believed him. She asked Lu Bai, "Why haven't I seen him before? Your father didn't tell me who he is." Before Lu Bai could answer, the young man smiled and said, "Please don't misunderstand, Miss Hu. My name is Luan Yu. Because of my identity, I've specially instructed Brother Lu not to reveal my whereabouts, or it might bring great trouble to everyone. So, Miss Hu doesn't know of my existence." When Luan Yu saw Hu Lily put away the lightning formation plate, he knew that Hu Lily believed him. He said, "It seems that the situation outside isn't good. Although I won't make an enemy of the demon race, I can't watch Brother Lu's foundation be destroyed. Leave the island's formation plate and defensive formation to me. Miss Hu, please go out and help that fellow Taoist outside. Otherwise, I'm afraid Huangli Island will really fall." Hu Lily nodded. She had already discovered that Chen Lian was currently being besieged. If she didn't help him, he would really be in danger. Previously, she was worried about the island's defensive formation. Now that there was a core forging cultivator guarding the island, she was naturally at ease. At this time, Huangli Island was on the verge of collapse. From time to time, the island's defensive formation would be broken by the joint attacks of a few mid-core forging cultivators. Then, demon beasts would rush into the island's defensive formation before the formation could close. However, these demon beasts didn't bring much pressure to the cultivators on Huangli Island. What really scared the cultivators on the island were the 5 core forging cultivators. Although 2 of them were besieging Chanlian and the other 2 were attacking the defensive formation, the last core forging cultivator was able to kill 21 late blood condensation cultivators in a short period of time. Fortunately, the teleportation array on Huangli Island had already been destroyed. Outside the island, there was an inescapable net laid out by the demon beasts. The cultivators on Huangli Island could only fight with their backs against the wall. Facing the massacre of the core forging cultivator, many cultivators who didn't know each other had no choice but to work together to resist the attack of the core forging cultivator, especially since there were many Zhenling disciples on Huangli Island. They formed a Dao soldier formation, the 3 talents 5 elements formation, which was able to block 1 or 2 attacks from the core forging cultivator, who Lily flew out of the grand defensive formation. One of the core forging stage human pet and one of the demon cultivator who were attacking the grand defensive formation immediately flew out and chased after Hu Lily, while the other continued to attack the grand defensive formation. Seeing that the grand defensive formation was about to be broken, the demon cultivator was overjoyed. As long as he could break into the Immortal's cave and destroy the grand defensive formation of the island, he would be the main contributor to the attack on Huangli Island. It had only been 3 years since Jinling occupied Huangli Island. The human cultivators of the North Sea used Huangli Island as their base of operations. Blood condensation cultivators went out to sea to hunt the demon beasts. Many human core forging cultivators also secretly set out from Huangli Island, either north or south, to attack the demon beasts' rear. This often caused the demon beasts to lose sight of the demon beasts. As a result, the demon beasts hated Huangli Island to the bone. However, Huangli Island was previously managed by Lu Ping like an iron bucket. Moreover, the human cultivators of the North Sea also knew the value of Huangli Island. Whenever the demon beasts attacked, the core forging cultivators would immediately rush over to reinforce them. That was why Huangli Island was able to stand tall in the demon beast's hinterland. However, just when the core forging cultivators thought that Huangli Island would be occupied after he destroyed the island's defensive formation disk, 3 whips suddenly shot out from the defensive formation. The core forging cultivator didn't care at all. When the 3 whips approached, the core forging cultivator had already sensed that they were merely 3 peak blood condensation cultivators working together. However, just as the core forging cultivator was about to block the 3 whips, the 3 whips suddenly merged into one. The power of the whips instantly multiplied, causing the core forging cultivator to feel a sense of danger. The core forging cultivator retreated abruptly. At the same time, a stone wall rose in front of him. However, a crisp sound rang out as the whips struck the stone wall, instantly turning it into a pile of rubble. The core forging cultivator's wooden expression changed slightly. He saw 3 young children of about 7 or 8 years of age walking out from behind the collapsed stone wall, dragging their long snake tails behind them. Of the 2 core forging cultivators surrounding Chen Lian, one was a 3rd-layer core forging cultivator, while the other was a 2nd-layer core forging cultivator. Although Chen Lian was only a 2nd-layer core forging cultivator, he was confident that he could defeat any one of them in a one-on-one battle. However, the 2 core forging cultivators obviously wouldn't give him that chance. With the 2 of them working together, Chen Lian was already in a precarious situation. At this moment, the sound of a drum suddenly came from behind Chen Lian. The buzzing sound in the sky was getting closer and closer, and Chen Lian's eyes immediately lit up. The 2 core forging cultivators surrounding Chen Lian raised their heads and saw a purple cloud in the sky above Huangli Island. The cloud transformed into various shapes and swept towards them. When the 2 core forging cultivators got closer, they discovered that the cloud was actually made up of fist-sized purple demonic bees. As the drum vibrated, the purple demonic bees gathered into a dense rotating ball, surrounding the 2nd-layer core forging cultivator that was besieging Chen Lian. The core forging cultivator raised his hand and released a few fireballs. Dozens of purple demonic bees were blown away, but only 3 to 5 of them were blown to pieces because they were too close to the fireballs. A dozen of them fell to the ground and struggled to fly. The rest of the demonic bees that were blown away staggered in the sky as if they were drunk. After a while, they flapped their wings and joined the ranks of the core forging cultivator that was besieging the core forging cultivator. The core forging cultivator raised his hand and released a few fireballs. Dozens of purple demonic bees were blown away, but only 3 to 5 of them were blown to pieces because they were too close to the fireballs. More than a dozen of them fell to the ground and struggled to fly. The rest of the demonic bees that were blown away staggered in the air as if they were drunk, then flapped their wings and joined the ranks of the core forging cultivators. The cultivation levels of these demonic bees varied, but the weakest was at least at the mid-stage of the blood-refining realm. The strongest was actually at the mid-stage of the blood condensation realm. Under normal circumstances, core forging cultivators and humans alike were like ants in the eyes of core forging cultivators. However, when there were hundreds or thousands of these ants and they formed a demon soldier formation, even a core forging cultivator wouldn't dare to face them head-on. Without the other cultivator on the same level as him holding him back, Chunlian was finally able to unleash his full strength. Instantly, he switched from passively taking a beating to attacking and defending. A clump of flames blazed above his head, causing Chunlian's attacks to exude a suffocating heat. After Hu Lili flew out of the cave, she ignored the core forging cultivators that were chasing after her. Instead, she spread out her divine sense and quickly found Zhang Jie, who was commanding the cultivators to fight against the demonic beasts on the island. She handed the amethyst wasp Dao soldiers that Lu Ping left for her to protect herself and instructed her to help Chen Lian. Meanwhile, Hu Lili rushed towards the core forging cultivator that was slaughtering the blood condensation cultivators on Huangli Island. You are a core forging enlightened master, yet you are attacking a low-level cultivator. Aren't you afraid that a high-level human cultivator will give you a taste of your own medicine? The core forging cultivator that attacked the blood condensation cultivators was only a first-layer core forging cultivator. From the looks of it, he had just advanced to the core forging realm not long ago. The reason he was slaughtering the blood condensation cultivators seemed to be because he was experiencing the superiority of a high-level human cultivator. When he heard Hu Lili's question, he couldn't help but sneer. Revenge. That will have to wait until there are still cultivators left on this island. If all of them are dead, what evidence do you humans have to say that a high-level demon cultivator slaughtered a low-level cultivator? It's clearly a demon cultivator that has yet to take human form that killed your low-level cultivators. Hu Lili's heart sank when she heard this. It seemed like the demon race was determined to take down Huangli Island. They even wanted to massacre the entire island. Moreover, it was a core forging cultivator killing a low-level human cultivator. This was not allowed in the human and demon races. Since they dared to do such a thing, it was clear that they were very confident in taking down Huangli Island. At this moment, Hu Lili didn't have the time to think too much. Although Luan Yu was watching over the island's protective array, the few mid-core forging cultivators outside the island were able to break through the island's protective array every time they attacked. Before the array could close up again, a large number of demonic beasts would rush in. At this time, the number of demonic beasts on Huangli Island was increasing. If Hu Lili didn't stop the core forging cultivators from slaughtering the low-level cultivators, these low-level demonic beasts alone would be enough to drown Huangli Island. The small lightning array appeared in Hu Lili's hand once again. The array expanded to a radius of 3 zhong and landed at Hu Lili's feet. Hu Lili pointed at the array, and a burst of lightning flashed in the air. A thunderclap sounded in the air, and a bolt of lightning fell towards the blood condensation cultivator. At this time, the core forging cultivator who was chasing after Lu Ping also rushed over. The two of them blocked Hu Lili from the front and back. The first core forging cultivator laughed and said, "All right, then I'll kill you, this disappointing bitch. After that, I'll kill these blood condensation minor repairs to my heart's content." With that said, the two of them attacked Hu Lili together. Hu Lili wasn't good at fighting and killing. Her true strength lay in the study of array formations. However, this didn't mean that she was easy to bully. The lightning array under Hu Lili's feet was made from the 1,000-year-old thunderstruck peach wood that Lu Ping had given her. With Chun Lian and Lu Ping's help, this array formation had reached the level of a magic treasure, and its power had greatly increased. Just as the two beastkin cultivators attacked Hu Lili, the disc array under Hu Lili's feet flickered again as she quickly made a few hand seals. A cyan lightning suddenly formed a lightning ball. While firmly covering Hu Lili, it also blocked the attacks of the two beastkin cultivators. The first core forging cultivator sneered and said, "So you're a formation cultivator. You're just wearing a turtle shell. How many attacks can this array formation block?" Just as the two of them were about to join forces to attack again, a spirit pill suddenly flew out from the green lightning barrier towards the first layer core forging stage beast cultivator. Just as the core forging cultivator was about to attack again, the spirit pill suddenly dispersed into a ball of extremely dense spiritual energy. Then, a nimble sword light seemed to be born from the ball of spiritual energy and shot towards the first core forging cultivator. Therefore, if the teleportation array on Huangli Island was really destroyed from the inside, then these people must have entered Huangli Island from Dikuan Island, and spiritual master Xinchang would have to bear the hat of negligence. In the sky above Huangli Island, spiritual master Lu Hai, who was in charge of the siege of Huangli Island, and several mid-core forging stage demon cultivators, once again broke through the island's protective array. Several demon beasts leaped from the sea, passed through the temporarily broken array, and landed on Huangli Island. Among these demon beasts, a huge tortoise demon beast, after landing on Huangli Island, did not attack the human cultivators on the island like the other demon beasts. Instead, a brilliance flashed under its feet like a stream of water, avoiding the battlefield, and flew towards the small hill in the center of Huangli Island. After spiritual master Lu Hai and the other demon cultivators broke through the island's protective array, he said with a puzzled expression, "Strange, this island's protective array has been broken by us more than 10 times. In addition to the previous tsunami, even if the island's protective array is supported by the spirit vein, it should not be able to meet the demand and will gradually weaken. How is it that after attacking for so long, this island's protective array shows no signs of weakening?" A mid-core forging stage demon cultivator, although only at the 5th layer of core forging stage, was inferior to spiritual master Lu Hai, but the tone of his voice was on equal footing with spiritual master Lu Hai. He said, "Could it be that there is still a core forging stage demon cultivator presiding over the island's protective array?" Spiritual master Lu Hai shook his head and said, "According to the information from the 2 core forging stage humans, it can be confirmed that there are indeed 2 early core forging stage Jinling cultivators on the island. Just now, we sent 3 core forging stage clansmen to Huangli Island. At this time, there should be no one guarding the island's protective array, unless the other party is still hiding their strength, or that Jinling cultivator called Lu Xianping has been forced to come out of seclusion." The cultivator who spoke earlier continued spiritual master Lu Hai's words. Spiritual master Lu Hai was not angry. Instead, he nodded and said with a smile, "Brother Ma is right." However, spiritual master Ma clearly did not put spiritual master Lu Hai's agreement in his eyes. He continued, "But even so, with the strength of our 5 core forging stage cultivators, even with Lu Xuanping's help, we are still in a situation of 5 against 2. We still have the upper hand. Why has Huangli Island not been breached until now?" Spiritual master Lu Hai said somewhat awkwardly, "Brother Ma is saying that Jinling still has hidden strength on Huangli Island?" Spiritual master Ma's expression did not change as he said, "That is the only explanation. The island's protective array has blocked our divine sense from probing, so we have no way of knowing what is happening on the island. However, from what we have seen several times when we have broken through the island's protective array, our clansmen still have the upper hand. However, if this continues, it will take us longer to capture Huangli Island. At this time, I'm afraid Jinling has already found out that we are attacking Huangli Island and has sent cultivators over. If we cannot capture Huangli Island before they arrive, not only will this siege fail, I'm afraid the 3 clansmen and 2 core forging stage humans that have already entered the island will also lose their lives." Spiritual master Ma's words caused the expressions of all the cultivators present to change. Spiritual master Lu Hai said solemnly, "Brother Ma is right. This time, we cannot fail again. Otherwise, we will have no face to stand among the demon clansmen of the North Sea. Everyone, don't hold back anymore. Use everything you have on the island's defensive formation. Even if we can't break through it, we have to weaken it as much as possible so that more blood condensation realm cultivators can enter Huangli Island. If we can send 1 mid-core forging realm cultivator into the island, we'll be able to win." "Isn't this a spirit core? How can it explode with such powerful sword light?" The 1st layer core forging realm beast cultivator was shocked. His body that was rushing toward Hu Lily quickly stopped in midair, then he quickly retreated. At the same time, he made a series of hand seals and a blue bag appeared in front of him. Then, it suddenly opened and countless starfish flew out from the bag toward the sword lights that filled the sky. When the starfish in the bag flew out, the sword lights that exploded in the spirit core were also hit by the starfish. However, just as the demonic cultivator let out a sigh of relief, another spirit pill flew out from the lightning barrier. Before the demonic cultivator's stunned eyes, the spirit pill turned into a four-legged, one-horned snake that pounced toward the demonic cultivator again. At this time, the core forging stage pet on the other side also launched an attack at Hu Lily. However, Hu Lily suddenly threw several array formation tools around her. Immediately after, the lightning array disc under her feet resonated with the array formation tools that she threw to the ground. A cyan light curtain suddenly enveloped the core forging stage pet. At the same time, a violent roar erupted from the light curtain. The light curtain also trembled under the roar. Just as the beast cultivator dispersed the troublesome strange snake, a bird covered in black flames suddenly soared into the sky and pounced at the beast cultivator again. At this moment, the beast cultivator was already in a sorry state. The blue bundle had already been torn apart by the strange snake. Looking at the Luan pouncing at him, the beast cultivator let out a wolf howl and said, "Good, good. I didn't expect a woman like you to have such a strange method. However, how many of these miraculous pills do you have? The moment you run out of spirit pills will be the moment you die." The spirit core Hu Lily used was the intentional combat pill that Lu Ping had refined. Although the power of this kind of pill was proportional to the cultivator's alchemy skills and cultivation level, if your alchemy skills were high enough and your cultivation level was strong enough, you could even condense a great magical power into a combat pill. The intentional combat pill was said to be far more powerful than talisman treasures. It was not groundless that it could be compared with talisman weapons. However, when refining the intentional combat pill, it would be affected by many factors such as spiritual herbs. Lu Ping, who had already achieved great magical power, naturally wouldn't waste his energy on refining the intentional combat pill. Although it could condense a great magical power, it was actually more difficult to refine the intentional combat pill. Instead of wasting those spiritual herbs, it was more practical to refine a few furnaces of elixirs that could increase one's cultivation level. The intentional combat pill in Hu Lily's hands was specially refined by Lu Ping to hone his alchemy skills. The power of the intentional combat pill was not even comparable to a small magical power. Later, he gave it to Hu Lily, who had not yet reached the gold core realm, to protect herself. At this time, Hu Lily also looked solemn. She was not good at fighting with cultivators. If there was only one of these two cultivators in the core forging realm, Hu Lily was confident that she could fight with them. If the two of them attacked together, she could only use the intentional combat pill in her hands to resist. However, the few intentional combat pills that Lu Ping gave her were actually for her to escape, not to fight with others. Because Lu Ping also knew that although this kind of medicinal pill was stronger than talisman treasures, it could only be used to block the cultivators in the core forging realm for a while. It was absolutely impossible to kill them. As the beastkin cultivator just said, at this time, Hu Lily had no intentional combat pill in her hands. Once the two of them joined forces, she would soon be defeated. At that time, the beastkin cultivator who was free would deal with Chun Lian and Luan Yu in the cave residence. Huangli Island would soon fall. Could it really not be able to resist? Did she really have to wake up Lu Ping from his seclusion? Huangli Island's teleportation array had been destroyed. Dekuan Island should have already received the news. Why hadn't the cultivators of her sect come to help until now? Could it be that there was also an accident in Xinchi Island? All kinds of thoughts came one after another in Hu Lily's mind. For a moment, she was in a trance. At this time, the beastkin cultivators outside the island suddenly attacked the island's grand array fiercely and intensely. The roar of various spells and the collision of magic weapons caused Hu Lily's expression to change again. When Hu Lily looked up, she saw that the sky outside the island's grand array had become overflowing with colorful lights. All kinds of spells and magic weapons were colliding with the island's grand array. The light curtain of the island's grand array was constantly being pierced. More and more demonic beasts took the opportunity to rush into Huangli Island. The light curtain that had already recovered began to slowly dim again. In Huangli Island's cave residence, after the beastkin cultivators outside the island suddenly intensified their attacks on the island's grand array, the spirit stones on the grand array's grand array began to explode one after another. The spirit vein seemed to be unable to support the operation of the grand array. the entire Grand Array began to tremble slightly. According to this speed, it would not take long for the Grand Array of Huangli Island to collapse because the Grand Array could no longer absorb enough spiritual power to operate. At first, Guan Yu was in a hurry to replace the spirit stones on the Grand Array. Then, he became at a loss. Then, he made up his mind and pressed both of his hands on the Grand Array. The true essence of his whole body surged into the Grand Array. He actually wanted to use his own true essence to support the operation of the Grand Array. However, after a moment, Guan Yu's face turned pale. He had to operate the huge Grand Array by himself. At the same time, he had to resist the attacks of several mid-core forging realm beastkin cultivators. Guan Yu immediately spat out a mouthful of blood on the Grand Array. Hee, it seems that I am not too late. Chapter 386. Wang Qi kept his mid-grade flying sword and heaved a long sigh of relief as he looked at the dead beast. This was the fourth blood-refining realm beast he had killed. Behind Wang Qi was the spirit herb garden that he had been managing for the past 3 years. This was the best piece of land out of the 3 spirit gathering lands that he had received. That was why he had turned it into a spirit herb garden. After returning to Huangli Island, Feng Wei and Feng Xia brought Wang Qi to the spirit herb garden. Then, they turned back to kill the beasts that were attacking the island. At the same time, they had to search for their father, Master Immortal Feng Tao. Wang Qi was hiding in a cave near the spiritual herb garden. Whenever a lone blood-refining realm demonic beast passed by, he would attack and kill it. During this time, he even helped a blood condensation realm female cultivator kill a mid-stage blood condensation realm beast. At that time, the monster was being chased by the female cultivator, and it was running towards Lu Ping's hiding spot. Wang Qi's head was burning with anger, so he leaped out of the cave and aimed his flying sword at the monster's eyes with all his might. Perhaps it was because the female cultivator was chasing after the demonic beast too quickly, or perhaps it was because the demonic beast did not care about the little blood-refining cultivator in front of it at all, but the demonic beast actually ignored everything else and charged straight towards Wang Qi. Wang Qi dodged to the side, but the demonic beast's wind movement magic art still managed to send Wang Qi flying more than 100 feet away. Before Wang Qi landed, he heard the demonic beast cry out in pain. Wang Qi, who was still in a daze after falling to the ground, seemed to see a flying sword sticking out of the Yao beast's eyeball. The Yao beast was jumping up and down in pain, and the female cultivator behind him took the opportunity to catch up. After a few flashes of light, the Yao beast was dead. Wang Qi shook his head and got up from the ground. Only then did he see the female cultivator standing in front of him. Wang Qi quickly bowed. The female cultivator said, "Not bad. You managed to injure a mid-stage blood condensation realm beast with your 9th layer blood refining realm cultivation. What's your name?" Wang Qi quickly said, "Disciple Wang Qi greets Immortal Elder. I was just lucky earlier. If not for Immortal Elder, I would have died at the hands of the demonic beasts." The female cultivator giggled and said, "You really know how to talk. You also contributed to killing this monster beast. You can deal with the materials on the monster beast's body. The monster race's offensive this time will definitely be successful, so be careful." With that, the female cultivator turned into a streak of light and disappeared in front of Wang Qi. Wang Qi looked at the mid-stage blood condensation realm monster's corpse in front of him. This was a mid-stage blood condensation realm monster's corpse. If he dismembered all the materials on it and added them to what he had accumulated, he would be able to exchange for 2 blood condensation realm pills. Just as Wang Qi killed the 4th demonic beast in the cave, a loud sound came from the barrier above his head. Another hole appeared in the barrier, and several demonic beasts jumped in from the outside. Among them, a mid-blood condensation demonic beast landed in front of Wang Qi. Wang Qi's heart sank. He didn't even bother to pick up the corpse of the demonic beast beside him and quickly retreated. However, this demonic beast seemed to have recognized Wang Qi as a blood condensation minor repairs cultivator. It moved its feet and actually chased after Wang Qi. How could Wang Qi's speed compare to a blood condensation realm demonic beast? The demonic beast had a mocking smile on its face as it closed in on Wang Qi. Wang Qi gripped the flying sword in his hand tightly, but he suddenly realized that a gigantic sea turtle as tall as a human was blocking his way. Just as Luan Yu intended to use his own vital energy to temporarily maintain the operation of the island's protective formation, outside of Huangli Island, Sage Lu Hai looked at Sage Ma with some hesitation and said, "Brother Ma, do you really want to enter Huangli Island? Brother Ma is a guest from afar. You have already helped us greatly by coming here to help us. There is no need for you to take this risk." Taoist Ma smiled and said, "Since I'm here to help, how can I not contribute? Brother Lu Hai needs to take charge of the situation, so you can't enter Huangli Island. Why don't you let me go? Is Brother Lu Hai afraid that I will steal your credit?" Taoist Lu Hai waved his hand and smiled. "Brother Ma must be joking. In that case, I will have to trouble Brother Ma." Taoist Lu Hai and the other 4 mid-core forging cultivators worked together to break through the defensive formation. Taoist Ma had already turned into a silver light and flew into the island's defensive formation. Just as Taoist Ma broke through the defensive formation and entered Huangli Island, Luan Yu finally couldn't hold on any longer. He spat a mouthful of blood on the formation plate. "Looks like I'm not too late." Luan Yu turned around and saw Lu Ping standing behind him with a smile on his face. "Why did you come out of seclusion? You broke through?" Luan Yu frowned and asked in surprise, "How is this possible? With your strength, this breakthrough will definitely cause a phenomenon. How did you?" Lu Ping laughed and stepped forward. He also pressed his palm on the defensive formation plate. The entire silver formation plate was instantly dyed sky blue by Lu Ping's Zhen Yuan in front of Luan Yu's widened eyes. Outside the island, the defensive formation that was weakened due to Taoist Ma's sudden attack on Huangli Island shone brightly again. This time, the entire formation seemed to be covered with a layer of faint blue. Not good. The other side still has the strength to resist. We must continue to attack the defensive formation so that more blood condensation cultivators can enter the island. This time, we must occupy Huangli Island before Jinling's reinforcements arrive. After Taoist Master Lu Hai said coldly, the 5 Taoist demon cultivators once again joined forces to break through the island's grand array. But this time, the hole was much smaller than before. Only 5 or 6 demon beasts took the opportunity to jump in. Inside Huangli Island's cave dwelling, Luan Yu, who had just swallowed a healing pellet, saw Lu Ping reactivating the island's protective array formation. Then, he stopped and guided another spirit vein to support the island's protective array formation. She couldn't help but ask curiously, why didn't he guide all 3 spirit veins into the array formation? That way, the monster cultivators outside the island won't be able to break through the island's protective array formation. Lu Ping turned around and smiled. If that's the case, why would the demon cultivators continue to besiege Huangli Island? Luan Yu sensed a strong killing intent from Lu Ping's eyes. He couldn't help but feel a chill rising from the soles of his feet to his back. When he looked at Lu Ping again, there was no trace of Lu Ping in the cave dwelling. Only a voice lingered in Luan Yu's ears. "I'll have to trouble you to look after the defensive formation for the time being." Luan Yu was stunned for a while, then murmured, "Can he still be considered a cultivator who has just broken through to the mid-core forging stage?" Taoist Ma rushed into Huangli Island and spread his divine sense across the entire island. Other than the cave dwelling that was protected by the defensive formation, the rest of the island was clear at a glance. Taoist Ma was surprised and doubtful. "I didn't expect Huangli Island to have so many tricks up their sleeves." The demon bee soldiers that the blood condensation female cultivator commanded looked very familiar. That core forging female cultivator should be Hu Lily. Could it be that the medicinal pill she used was the intentional combat pill? I didn't expect such a strange medicinal pill to exist in a barren land like the North Sea. Also, how could those 3 blood condensation children who can fight against core forging cultivators be from the demon race? No, there's something strange about those 3 children. How is it possible? How could they appear in the North Sea? Are they really? They are the green sea snakes. A voice suddenly appeared in Taoist Ma's ears. Taoist Ma's expression changed. He turned around and put on a set of armor. At the same time, he shouted, "Who is it? Get out!" Before the word "come" left his mouth, Taoist Ma saw a young man in his 20s standing not far away from him. The young man was looking at him coldly. A tyrannical divine sense instantly rushed towards him. The heavy pressure caused Taoist Ma's back to be soaked in cold sweat. He looked at the young man in front of him and said bitterly, "Late core forging stage?" The corner of the young man's mouth curved into a mocking smile. A dazzling golden light suddenly pierced through the air. Taoist Ma instantly summoned a spiritual-type magic treasure to block the golden light. At the same time, he also summoned a defensive magic treasure above his head. Taoist Ma didn't seem to be at ease. His protective aura flashed with 4 rays of light and surrounded him. The armor he wore earlier also seemed to be extraordinary. However, the golden light disappeared in a flash. The young man turned around and disappeared in a step. Taoist Ma's eyes were wide open, and a trace of disbelief could be seen on his face. He seemed to want to say something, but then dark red blood seeped out from a slit on the chest of the armor. Taoist Ma's huge body fell from the sky. A fat mouse crawled out from the ground and skillfully looted all the valuables on Taoist Ma's body. Then, it plunged into the ground and disappeared without a trace. Just as Taoist Ma died, a divine sense that could only be possessed by a late-core forging stage cultivator instantly covered the entire Huangli Island, causing the offensive of the humans and demons who were fighting to stagnate. Hu Lili and Chun Lian's faces lit up. Taking advantage of the fact that their opponents were at a loss due to the suppression of Lu Ping's divine sense, they hurriedly fought back to alleviate their own dangerous situation. The demon cultivator who was fighting with Hu Lili had already broken her lightning barrier. The flickering lightning in the lightning formation plate under her feet was getting thinner and thinner. However, at this moment, the demon cultivator who was about to launch the final blow to Hu Lili suddenly opened his eyes wide. He stood in the air and stopped moving. Hu Lili could clearly see the life passing away from his eyes. A faint blue sword shadow flashed in front of Hu Lili. Hu Lili let out a long sigh of relief. Then, she began to focus on dealing with the core forging stage human pet that was already under her control in the formation. Zhang Jie relied on the purple crystal bees to form the demon soldier formation. Although she trapped a demon cultivator in the formation and beat him until his body was swollen and poisoned, she couldn't kill him for a while. On the contrary, more than 100 of the 800 or 900 purple crystal bees had already been killed by the demon cultivator. Zhang Jie knew that this group of purple crystal bees was carefully cultivated by Lu Ping. It was said that even the sects Fa Xiang, Lao Zhu, treasured them. Now that more than 100 of them had died, she didn't know how distressed Lu Ping would be. However, now that Huangli Island was at a critical juncture, Zhang Jie couldn't care too much about it. At this moment, she heard Lu Ping's somewhat helpless voice coming from behind her. "Io, my great aunt. Quickly, put away the demon soldier formation. We can't go on like this." Hearing this, Zhang Jie embarrassedly put away the purple crystal bees into the spirit pet bag. Only then did she realize that the demon cultivator who was previously trapped in the demon soldier formation had lost his head. Chapter 387. What does it feel like to have nothing better to do? What does it feel like to be stuffed to death after eating too much? Lu Ping persisted in this feeling of being stuffed to death for 3 years. When Lu Ping found the Xinyuan heavy water in the Zhongxian Immortal's cave, the black water ball was difficult for Lu Ping to control even though he had just advanced to the core forging stage. There was only one word to describe it: heavy. When Lu Ping was forced to fuse with the Xinyuan heavy water, he immersed himself in this feeling of being stuffed to death for 3 years. Every time a drop of Xinyuan heavy water was fused into the Jindan, Lu Ping felt as if he was eating molten iron to satisfy his hunger. He had to run the North Sea Wave listening spell at all times to refine every drop of Xinyuan heavy water, condensing the trace of spirituality contained in the spirit water for the Jindan to absorb, and the heavy water itself was fused with Lu Ping's true essence. At the same time, the golden core also absorbed Lu Ping's divine sense. Lu Ping knew that after the golden core was replenished with spirituality, it would begin to refine the cultivator's divine sense. In other words, the golden core was nurturing the cultivator's true essence and divine sense together. This would be the foundation for Lu Ping to break the golden core and achieve the avatar state in the future. However, what was the Xinyuan heavy water? It was a low-grade heaven step spirit treasure, which was the most effective for enhancing the purity and richness of a cultivator's true essence. If it wasn't for the fact that fusing with this kind of spirit treasure would greatly affect a cultivator's cultivation speed, the Xinyuan heavy water could be compared to a mid-grade heaven step spirit treasure. Even so, how could an early-stage core forging stage cultivator like Lu Ping easily fuse with it? Fortunately, Lu Ping's cultivation focused on the foundation, and his true essence was pure and thick. The North Sea Wave listening scripture that he cultivated was a mysterious yet powerful cultivation technique. But when you think about it, it made sense. Whether it was the Sea Wave listening scripture or the Flying Spirit Ocean treading scripture, any complete cultivation technique would be a well-deserved legacy cultivation technique in their respective sects, not to mention the North Sea Wave listening scripture that Lu Ping named. However, the feeling that made Lu Ping's face turn red, his eyes bloodshot, and his restlessness accompanied Lu Ping for 3 whole years. During these 3 years, Lu Ping didn't dare to make the slightest mistake. He firmly endured the torture of that feeling and sat cross-legged on the ground, not daring to move. If there was the slightest accident, the Xinyuan heavy water that was being refined would go out of control, and it would be enough to cause Lu Ping's body to explode. In the past 3 years, Lu Ping had refined a total of 1,296 drops of Xinyuan heavy water, which was enough to supplement the spirituality of the entire gold core. The moment Lu Ping advanced to the middle stage of core forging, the core space expanded again, and the huge surface of the gold core once again condensed into a fourth four-legged strange dragon. However, the strange dragon that formed this time was different. In addition to the body of a snake, the claws of a crocodile, and the tail of a carp, there was also a cluster of antlers on the strange dragon's head. Not only the newly formed one, but the previous 3 strange dragons also had a cluster of antlers on their heads after Lu Ping advanced to the middle stage of core forging. After the formation of these 4 strange dragons, Lu Ping suddenly felt that his own divine sense had undergone some unknown changes. It seemed to have become a lot more tyrannical, and the coverage of his divine sense was almost no less than that of a late-stage core forging cultivator. After Lu Ping successfully merged with the Xinyuan heavy water, the feeling of satiation that had previously tortured Lu Ping for 3 whole years finally left Lu Ping. However, before Lu Ping could rejoice, an unprecedented sense of hunger swept through Lu Ping's whole body. When the Xinyuan heavy water was completely refined by Lu Ping, whether it was Lu Ping's blood vessels, core space, or Lu Ping's huge gold core, all of them, without exception, could accommodate more true essence. On the other hand, Lu Ping's original true essence had been refined by the Xinyuan heavy water, making it even purer and more vigorous. This increase and decrease, coupled with the fact that after Lu Ping advanced to the middle stage of core forging, his own true essence had advanced by leaps and bounds, both in quantity and quality. Combining these 2 factors, Lu Ping suddenly discovered that after he advanced to the middle stage of core forging, the true essence in his body was unexpectedly empty, and this feeling of hunger that came from the depths of his blood vessels came from this. However, when Lu Ping's divine sense had changed, he had already been aware of the crisis that was happening on Huangli Island. Fortunately, Hu Lily had temporarily stabilized the situation on Huangli Island with the means she had left behind, so Lu Ping immediately came up with a plan. At this time, if Lu Ping used all his strength to attract the surrounding spiritual qi to his body, and then quickly refined it into true essence, he would naturally be able to quickly make up for the true essence deficit caused by the advancement of his cultivation base. However, in that case, with Lu Ping's current situation, it would inevitably cause a huge phenomenon that was not inferior to the huge phenomenon of advancing to the late stage of core forging. This would cause the monster cultivators who attacked Huangli Island to misunderstand and retreat in panic. In that case, Huangli Island could certainly reduce its losses, but the monster race would not suffer any losses. Since they had come, how could they easily retreat if they did not leave something behind? Lu Ping's eyes overflowed with killing intent. He pressed his palms towards the ground, and the spiritual qi from the two small spiritual veins, as well as the rich spiritual qi that had gathered in Lu Ping's cultivation room for the past 2 years, all converged towards Lu Ping's body. Immediately after, the spiritual qi was quickly refined by the North Sea wave listening technique into surging true essence, enriching Lu Ping's blood vessels. At the same time, the true essence was condensed by the blood vessels into true essence, which was then transported to the core space for absorption by the golden core. Relying on his huge divine sense, Lu Ping carefully concentrated the spiritual qi in the cultivation room and did not leak out. Fortunately, Hu Lili seemed to have foresight and insisted on sealing the two spiritual veins together in Lu Ping's cultivation room. Otherwise, if Lu Ping did not trigger a celestial phenomenon, it would be very difficult for him to completely restore the true essence in his body in a short period of time. When Lu Ping had almost restored the true essence in his body, it just happened to be the most critical moment for Huangli Island. Lu Ping made a prompt decision to continue to restore the true essence and chose to leave the cultivation room. What kind of concept was it to smelt a heaven-grade spiritual treasure at the middle stage of core forging? Lu Ping was able to support the entire island's protective array formation with just his own Jinyuan. Not only that, but he was also able to withstand the combined attacks of several cultivators in the same realm as him. Luan Yu also tried to do the same, but she was instantly struck by the backlash from the array formation and the attacks from the outside world, causing her to vomit blood. It was clear that Lu Ping's Jinyuan had reached an unimaginable level. As for the reason why Lu Ping only drew one spiritual vein to support the operation of the formation plate, apart from Lu Ping's decision to plot against the demon race, the most fundamental reason was that the other spiritual vein had not recovered because Lu Ping had absorbed too much spiritual qi in order to quickly restore his true essence. After advancing to the middle stage of core forging, Lu Ping was eager to understand his own strength, but unfortunately, he encountered Taoist Ma who had intruded on Huangli Island. Lu Ping's 3 pure eyes, which had fused with 4 kinds of heaven-grade spiritual treasures, saw through this seahorse demon at the 5th stage of core forging at a glance. Lu Ping decided to go all out to see what level he had reached. However, he did not expect that the golden scale sword would fly out and launch a great sword technique, directly killing this Taoist Ma. Even Lu Ping himself could not believe this result. Of course, Lu Ping was also suspected of launching a sneak attack and Taoist Ma's lack of foresight. Even so, an ordinary cultivator at the 7th or 8th stage of core forging might not be able to achieve such a result. After killing the demon cultivators who were besieging Hu Lili and the 2 demon cultivators who were fighting against the amethyst demon soldiers commanded by Zheng Jia, the situation on Huangli Island began to turn around. At this time, Lu Ping was not in a hurry to kill all the demon cultivators on Huangli Island. Instead, he wandered around in the sky above Huangli Island. Whenever a cultivator was in danger, he would kill the demon beasts. With Lu Ping's current speed and divine sense, almost the entire Huangli Island was under his control. After a while, the situation on Huangli Island was finally completely reversed. At this time, the blood condensation realm cultivators on Huangli Island had already sensed the arrival of reinforcements from the sudden death of many powerful demon beasts. The morale of the human cultivators on Huangli Island was greatly boosted. The sound of human cultivators chasing and killing the demon beasts could be heard everywhere. With Lu Ping's divine sense, he could even sense the excitement on the faces of these cultivators while they were chasing and killing the demon beasts. Every demonic beast was a cultivation resource. Lu Ping deliberately delayed the speed of the counterattack against the demon race. He wanted to give the core forging realm demon cultivators outside the island a false impression that Huangli Island's resistance against the demon race had reached its limit. As long as more demon beasts were sent into the island, the human cultivators' will to resist would collapse, and Huangli Island would fall. In this way, the core forging realm demon cultivators outside the island would continue to work together to break through the island's grand array. Demon beasts would be continuously sent into Huangli Island for the cultivators on the island to kill. Not only did Huangli Island have to make up for the losses it had suffered, but they also had to profit from it. After Lu Ping came out of seclusion, Hu Lili and Chen Lian were completely relieved. Samling was the most familiar with Lu Ping's aura, so he was the first to notice Lu Ping's appearance. 2 people and 3 snakes started to focus on dealing with their respective opponents. Lu Ping could also sense their thoughts through his divine sense. It seemed like they didn't want Lu Ping to interfere. Instead, they wanted to use their own strength to fight their opponents. Lu Ping smiled. He could understand their thoughts. Hu Lily had been stuck at the bottleneck of the first layer of core forging for many years. Chun Lian also seemed to want to temper himself through battles. As for Samling, Lu Ping was worried that their cultivation would improve too quickly. So, he had been suppressing their cultivation to prevent them from advancing to the core forging realm. At this moment, Samling, who was only at the peak of the blood condensation realm, was attacking a second-layer core forging realm demon cultivator. It seemed like they wanted to prove something to Lu Ping. In any case, the situation on Huangli Island was under his control. Since everyone wanted to play, there was no reason for Lu Ping to stop them. The grand array above the island was once again broken through. Another dozen demon beasts leaped in. Lu Ping smiled coldly and ignored them. He turned around and leisurely patrolled the spiritual energy gathering area on the island. This was an authentic property of Huangli Island. If Lu Ping wanted to make a name for himself on Huangli Island, these spiritual energy gathering areas would be his foundation. After inspecting the area, Lu Ping was very satisfied. Obviously, the cultivators stationed on the island had realized the importance of these spiritual energy gathering areas. After the demon beast horde attacked Huangli Island, many cultivators relied on these spiritual energy gathering areas to defend against the attacks of the demon beasts. As a result, many of the spiritual energy gathering areas were preserved. Although the spiritual fields, spiritual herb gardens, and spiritual material gardens were affected, they did not reach the point of failure. During the process of patrolling, Lu Ping also saw 2 interesting blood refinement minor repairs. Lu Ping had some impression of them. They were both cultivators who had observed Lu Ping's sword practice on Yangxian Peak. The only difference was that one of them was the first to arrive and sat at the front. He insisted on observing the entire process of Lu Ping's sword practice. The other one arrived halfway and hid at the back to observe. In the end, he was the least injured by Lu Ping's aura. In the past 3 years, only these 2 persisted. The corner of Lu Ping's mouth curled up slightly. He ignored them. Chapter 388. Wang Qi thought that he was going to die for sure, but it wasn't his style to just sit back and wait for death. Seeing the 2 demonic beasts getting closer and closer to him, Wang Qi took a deep breath. His right hand, which was holding the flying sword, had a cut on it. Fresh blood flowed down the blade of the flying sword. Wang Qi suddenly rushed towards the mid-blood condensation realm demonic beast. There was no other reason. Since he had to deal a heavy blow to his opponent before he died, he naturally had to target the weakest opponent. If he went for the late blood condensation realm tortoise, he probably wouldn't even be able to scratch its skin. Wang Qi's full-force slash was enhanced by the blood-refining secret technique, so it was extremely smooth. He seemed to have gained some enlightenment from this slash. The mid-stage blood condensation demonic beast actually couldn't dodge his attack. A shrill roar could be heard, but Wang Qi didn't feel any injuries on his body. Instead, the demonic beast's roar became weaker and weaker. Wang Qi looked up and saw that his full-force slash had only pierced a foot into the demonic beast's body. However, this wasn't enough to cause fatal damage to a mid-stage blood condensation demonic beast. In fact, the demonic beast was still in a pouncing position, as if it was going to pounce on Wang Qi. However, just as it was about to pounce on Wang Qi, the late-stage blood condensation demonic turtle that was originally behind Wang Qi suddenly dashed to the side of the demonic beast. Its huge head stretched forward and bit the demonic beast in midair. Wang Qi looked at the scene in front of him in confusion. Then, he saw the demonic turtle throw the heavily injured demonic beast to the ground. Just as the demonic beast was about to hit the ground, a few stone spikes suddenly shot up from the ground and pierced through the demonic beast. The mid-stage blood condensation demonic beast fell to the ground. Dumbfounded, Wang Qi watched as a fat mouse suddenly sprang out from the ground in front of him and hopped onto the back of the monster tortoise. The monster tortoise's head suddenly turned and nodded at Wang Qi. Then, like flowing water, the monster tortoise's feet flashed, carrying the fat mouse on its back to another place. Wang Qi was stunned for a while before he realized that he was still in a dangerous situation with his current cultivation. He hurriedly put the 2 mid-stage blood condensation demonic beast corpses into his storage bag. Then, he frowned as he weighed the storage bag in his hand. It seemed to be full to the point that it couldn't fit anymore. Suddenly, a thunderous explosion came from Huangli Island. Lu Ping frowned, and his figure suddenly blurred. It was as if a long line of water was formed in the sky. When he reappeared, he was already beside Hu Lili. Looking at the exhausted Hu Lili, Lu Ping's heart ached a little as he said, "Since we can trap her here, we've already achieved the trial's goal. Why must we pay such a high price to injure her?" At this time, the formation that Hu Lili had set up earlier had been broken. However, the core forging realm human pet that was trapped inside had also been injured by Hu Lili and was unconscious. Hu Lili shook her head and said, "It's different. If it wasn't for the fact that he had a divine sense restriction placed on him, causing his mind to be a little muddled and only know how to attack wildly, I would have to expend a great deal of effort just to trap him, let alone heavily injure him. However, this battle has been of great help to me. Perhaps I'll need to go into closed-door cultivation to prepare for a breakthrough soon." Lu Ping's face lit up. After thinking for a while, he stepped forward and flicked his finger at the human pet. A line of true energy that flashed with blue light entered the human pet's body and completely imprisoned it. "Now it's up to Chunlian." Lu Ping and Hu Lili looked at each other and smiled. They flew towards Chunlian, who was fighting another human pet. The human pet that Chunlian was fighting was actually at the 3rd layer of the core forging realm. However, after being restricted, its mind was somewhat affected. Chunlian was not an ordinary 2nd layer core forging realm cultivator. Throughout the battle, Chunlian, who had always had the upper hand, used all of his skills to attack the human pet. The human pet had already been seriously injured and was on the verge of death. Seeing that Lu Ping and Hu Lili had arrived, Chunlian knew that it was time to end the battle. A ball of flame rose above his head and 18 fireballs flew out in succession. The fireball surrounded the human pet and burned it to ashes in an instant. Chunlian's face was deathly pale. Although the human pet could only display 70% or 80% of its strength, its cultivation was still 1 layer higher than Chunlian's. After this battle, Chunlian had consumed a lot of energy. This time, I've gained an advantage. If this person hadn't become a human pet of the demon clan, with his cultivation, it would have been difficult for me to defeat him, let alone kill him. Another loud noise rang out from the island, and another hole appeared on the island's defensive array. Tens of Yao beasts took the opportunity to rush in. The cultivators, who had almost cleared the island, cheered and immediately surrounded the Yao beasts. A series of banging sounds rang out, and the sounds of magic artifacts colliding with each other were mixed with the roars of several Yao beasts. Not long after, the sounds came to a stop. Chunlian swallowed a pill to recover his true essence and smiled. This idea is not bad. This way, although Huangli Island has suffered a disaster, the surviving cultivators may have profited from the disaster and made a big profit. Huangli Island will become even more prosperous in the future. Lu Ping shook his head slightly and smiled. There's still one last step. Otherwise, even if Huangli Island's reputation soars after this battle, I'm afraid there will still be cultivators who have concerns. After all, this time, the core forging demon clan cultivators attacked the island's protective array. Hu Lili thought for a while and said, "You mean the core forging demon clan cultivators outside? They are not alone. Chunlian and I have almost no combat power left. Are you going to rely on yourself? What's more, they are now using the demon clan cultivators outside the island to continuously send demon beasts into the island. If you leave the island, they will immediately realize that it is impossible to capture Huangli Island." Lu Ping said helplessly, "I'm afraid they can't wait any longer. I believe the sect's reinforcements will arrive soon. If we don't act now, when the reinforcements arrive, the demon clan cultivators will automatically retreat. The prestige of Huangli Island will be greatly reduced. Moreover, I'm afraid the Demon Clan cultivators outside the island have already realized that something is wrong. Finished speaking, Lu Ping smiled at the two of them. Then, he walked out of the island's protective array with his sword. Chunlian looked at Hu Lily's calm expression and said with some uncertainty, "Can he do it? There is more than one core forging Demon Clan cultivator outside." Hu Lily smiled and said, "How many things have you seen him do that he has no confidence in?" Chunlian shrugged his shoulders. The two of them returned to the Immortal's Cave together. At this time, the third spirit vein in the Immortal's Cave had already recovered. A rich spiritual qi filled the Immortal's Cave. The two of them each found a place to recover the true essence in their bodies. Outside the island, Taoist Master Lu Hai had already realized that something was wrong. However, before they could discuss a countermeasure, a young human cultivator suddenly rushed out from the island's protective array. Taoist Master Lu Hai and the others had a look of joy on their faces. They thought that the cultivators on the island had finally collapsed and were ready to leave the island to escape. However, they suddenly discovered that they could not detect the cultivation of this cultivator. They could only feel the vigorous true essence in this person's body, causing all the Demon Clan cultivators present to tremble from the bottom of their hearts. Then, the young man who rushed out revealed his sharp claws and teeth. A dazzling golden light, like the rising sun, soaked the sea in a golden color. Then, there seemed to be countless golden sword lights appearing in the boundless golden sea, forming a world of golden sword lights. When the 5 core forging cultivators saw that the cultivator who rushed out of the protective array was actually attacking 5 core forging cultivators, they all had a look of ridicule on their faces. They were ready to teach this arrogant guy an unforgettable lesson for the rest of his life. However, when the golden radiance dyed the entire surface of the sea, and everyone seemed to be surrounded by this golden region, Adept Lu Hai's expression finally changed. Sword formation? This is a sword formation, the perfection realm of sword art's great divine ability. How is this possible? How is this possible? Who are you? He is the cultivator who led the attack on Huangli Island. He is Lu Xinping. When Lu Ping looked at the last person who spoke, he unexpectedly discovered that it was an acquaintance. It was the Demon Clan cultivator who was stationed on Huangli Island, Taoist Master Yu Hua. That year, Lu Ping took Huangli Island from his hands and severely injured him. Unexpectedly, he had recovered in the past few years. Lu Ping's sword array was so powerful that it could only be supported by dense arcane energy. In addition, his divine sense was as strong as a late core forging realm cultivator's. The 5 monster core forging realm cultivators couldn't even put up the slightest resistance. Then, Lu Ping heard Adept Lu Ping shouting, "Let's work together to break this sword array first. Otherwise, none of us will have an easy time." Lu Ping's expression turned cold. A cold snort resounded in everyone's ears like a clap of thunder, causing the 5 Demon Clan core forging cultivators to tremble. However, as the sword array was a great swordsmanship, its prestige was truly astonishing. In addition, no one could see through Lu Ping's strength. Even Taoist Master Yu Hua was bewildered when he saw Lu Ping. How is this possible? How is this possible? Isn't this a divine sense that only late core forging cultivators can possess? How can his divine sense pressure be so tyrannical? Even cultivators of the same level can be suppressed by him? As a result, the monster cultivators, who worked together, soon pierced a hole in Lu Ping's sword array, just like how they pierced through the island's protective array formation. Taoist Master Lu Hai was the first to fly out of the hole. Immediately after, 2 more people flew out. Lu Ping couldn't stop them in time. However, just as the 4th Demon Clan core forging cultivator was about to leave the hole, a huge seal came crashing down from the sky, forcing the Demon Clan core forging cultivator back into the sword array. Taoist Master Yu Hua took this opportunity to slip out of the hole. Soon after, he heard a miserable cry from the sword array. Obviously, the 4th core forging cultivator had been crushed. Just as Taoist Master Yu Hua was secretly rejoicing in his good luck, he suddenly saw several rays of light flying over from the west of Huangli Island. Taoist Master Yu Hua felt even more fortunate. Those rays of light were obviously the reinforcements of Zhenling. If he was one step slower, even if he could escape from the sword array, he would be blocked by these reinforcements. A thought suddenly appeared in Taoist Master Yu Hua's mind. After I return, I must leave the war with the humans and return to the Demon Sea region. Even if I have to ruin my family's reputation, I don't care. However, Taoist Master Yu Hua's wish was destined to be unfulfilled. The pupils of Taoist Master Xianchong and the others who came to help from afar all shrank. They saw Taoist Master Yu Hua, who had already flown hundreds of meters away, suddenly split into two halves in the sky. Then, blood fell from the sea. At this moment, the entire Huangli Island was intact. It was enveloped by the island's protective formation. At the top of the protective formation, Lu Ping stood with his hands behind his back. He looked at Taoist Master Xianchong and the other Demon Clan core forging cultivators with a smile. Chapter 389. Just before Jinling's reinforcements arrived, Taoist Mo Wei, who was fighting with Taoist Chu Xuanqing in the sky, seemed to have received some news and quickly retreated. The black clouds in the sky shrank without a trace in the blink of an eye, but the red clouds representing Taoist Chu Xuanqing occupied more than half of the sky, then gradually shrank. Lu Ping looked at the people who stopped in front of Huangli Island's formation, smiled and cupped his hands. Disciple of Chonghua sect, Lu Xianping, greets martial uncles. The situation in front of them was obviously beyond the expectation of Taoist Xuanqing and Taoist Xianqing. Both of their expressions changed as if they were thinking about something, but no one spoke first. Instead, Taoist Xuana said, "You are martial nephew Xianping? You are indeed a promising young man, worthy of being the disciple of senior sister Tianling. Have the demon cultivators on Huangli Island been repelled?" Lu Ping knew that everyone still had a lot of doubts in their hearts, but they were too embarrassed to say it, so he moved sideways and said, "The demon race has indeed retreated. Please enter the island to talk." Everyone had some doubts about Lu Ping's ability to defend Huangli Island. After hearing this, the group of 8 all passed through the island's protective formation. Just as everyone passed through the island's protective formation through their identity nameplates, a burst of chaotic cheers directly poured into the ears of the Taoist masters of core forging realm. But then the entire Huangli Island quieted down, because the 9 core forging realm cultivators, including Lu Ping, who had just entered the island's protective formation, was too shocking. Before the battle, there were a total of nearly 700 cultivators on Huangli Island. After the bloody battle, there were only more than 400 left on the island. More than 200 cultivators died in this battle, but almost all of the cultivators who survived collected a lot of cultivation resources through this battle. Everyone's face was not filled with joy after surviving a disaster, but joy of returning with a full load. Among the 8 Taoist masters who came to support from Dekuan Island, except for Taoist Xuanqing, who was a late core forging realm cultivator, the rest were middle core forging realm experts. The scene of the cultivators on Huangli Island naturally fell into everyone's eyes. Looking at the 6 corpses of core forging cultivators on Huangli Island, everyone looked at Lu Ping in disbelief. Taoist Mystic Crane asked directly, "Martial nephew Lu, there are a total of 6 people attacking Huangli Island?" Lu Ping could sense that what Reverend Mysterious Crane really wanted to ask was, 6 core forging cultivators attacked Huangli Island? After losing the protection of the island's grand formation, how did the cultivators on the island manage to kill these 6 demon cultivators? However, this was Lu Ping's own method. He would not share it with his own kind and expose his trump card. Lu Ping led everyone to the cave residence. The moment they entered the cave residence, the dense spirit qi made everyone feel refreshed. They saw Chen Lian and Hu Lily waiting respectfully in the cave residence. Now that Lu Ping had defeated the demon race before they came to support, Taoist Xuanqing and Taoist Xianqing had no reason to occupy Huangli Island. However, looking at the 6 corpses of core forging cultivators on the ground, feeling the dense spirit qi in the cave residence, and looking at the harvest of the hundreds of cultivators outside the cave residence, Taoist Xuanqing and the others were silent and unwilling. Taoist Xianqing pondered for a moment and said, "Martial nephew Lu, the defense of Huangli Island is a bit weak. Why don't you let senior brother Xuanqing transfer 2 middle core forging cultivators to help you defend Huangli Island? This way, the demon race won't be able to attack Huangli Island again and cause heavy casualties. What do you think? Hu Lili and Chen Lian were both smart people. How could they not hear the hidden meaning in Taoist Xianqing's words? Their faces turned cold. Lu Ping said with a smile, "Martial uncle came late. Do you know how many demon race core forging cultivators attacked Huangli Island this time?" Taoist Xianqing was stunned. He couldn't help but ask, "How many?" Lu Ping said, "The monster race is launching a large-scale attack this time. Other than enlightened Master Mo Wei, who's holding junior martial uncle Chu back, there are a total of 11 core forging monster cultivators, including these 2 early core forging monster human pets. Among them, 6 are mid-core forging monster cultivators." Taoist Xianqing and the others sucked in a breath of cold air. Taoist Xian, he directly asked, "Then how can you defend Huangli Island?" After saying this, Taoist Xian, he realized that his question was a bit inappropriate. He couldn't help but smile apologetically at Lu Ping. Lu Ping didn't mind. He waved his hand at the ground and 2 more core forging cultivators' corpses fell to the ground. Looking at the corpses of the 8 core forging cultivators on the ground, Taoist Master Xianqing and the others were speechless. One had to know that among the 8 corpses, 3 were mid-stage core forging demon cultivators, and 1 was even a 5th-layer core forging cultivator. This result ranked second in Jinling sect since the Beast Tide and the war between the humans and monsters began. It was second only to Guo Xianshan, Liang Xianfeng, Li Xianin, Chu Xuanqing, and the others during the Tianling Dharma Phenomenon Assembly. Others might not know about that, but cultivators like enlightened Master Xianchang knew that at least 2 core forging realm cultivators had died in Lu Ping's hands, and one of them was a mid-core forging realm monster cultivator. However, the sect didn't announce this to the public because they wanted to protect Lu Ping. Since the monster race had suffered a great loss, there was no reason for them to sully their own reputation. Thus, the 2 sects tacitly kept quiet about the war. However, it must be known who fought the last time. Guo Xianshan and the others were the strongest existences below the Jinling Dharma Phenomenon Laozu, so it was normal for them to have such a result. But who was it this time? Were they the 3rd-generation disciples of Jinling? Everyone's heart sank. When they looked at Lu Ping again, there was a trace of fear and respect in their eyes. They feared his unfathomable strength, but they also respected his unfathomable strength. Lu Ping brought out the core forging beast cultivator's corpse because he wanted to make it clear to the enlightened masters that the so-called addition of 2 mid-core forging martial uncles was unnecessary. If it were 2 other mid-core forging martial uncles, would they be able to achieve such a result? At least, 6th-stage core forging cultivators like Taoist Xianqing and Taoist Xian, he didn't have much confidence. At this time, Taoist Xianqing and Taoist Xian, he realized that they couldn't see through Lu Ping's cultivation. The 2 looked at each other and could see the shock in each other's eyes. Only Taoist Xianqing's face became a little solemn. He said, "Martial nephew Lu, have you broken through to the mid-stage core forging?" Sure enough, he was worthy of being a late-stage core forging cultivator, but there was a trace of uncertainty in his words. Lu Ping smiled and didn't speak, but he also didn't deny it. Just when the scene became a little awkward, Lu Ping and Taoist Xianchang both moved slightly and looked outside the cave mansion. A moment later, a burly middle-aged man with a red face walked in. Lu Ping, Hu Lili, and the others quickly bowed and saluted, "Martial Uncle Chu." On the other side, Taoist Xianchang and the others also respectfully said, "Senior Brother Chu." Taoist Chu Xuanqing nodded and said with a smile, "Haha, little Lu, you actually broke through to the mid-stage core forging. But why does your body look so strange? It's really unreasonable. When Taoist Chu Xuanqing came, the gap was obvious. They were both late-stage core forging cultivators, but Taoist Chu Xuanqing could see the level of Lu Ping's cultivation at a glance. He could also sense the surge of Lu Ping's strength, but Taoist Xianchang was somewhat uncertain. When Taoist Chu Xuanqing saw the 8 corpses on the ground, he also turned to Lu Ping in surprise and asked, "These died in your hands?" Lu Ping waved his hand and said, "How could Disciple be so powerful? It was Disciple who killed them with the help of Senior Sister, Hu Lili, and senior brother Chunlian. Taoist Xin Qing was so angry that his teeth itched. When Lu Ping showed the corpses of the monster cultivators, it was obvious that he was showing off his strength to the people who came to Earth Kuan Island. At this time, he put on a humble look and pushed the credit to his companions. When Taoist Chu Xuanqing entered the cave mansion, he noticed the strange atmosphere in the cave mansion. When he looked at the corpses on the ground, he guessed the essence of the matter. He immediately said, "This time the monster race attacked, including that bastard Hay miscellaneous fish. 8 of the 12 core forging cultivators were lost. At this time, the opponent is at his weakest. I think Hay miscellaneous fish has already asked for help elsewhere, but it will take some time for the reinforcements to arrive. Since junior brothers are here, I can't let you come here for nothing. How about it? Do you have the guts to follow old Chu and do something big? This time, we will go straight to the nest of Hay miscellaneous fish. This time, with junior brother Xian Cheng's help, it is not impossible to kill Hay miscellaneous fish here." Taoist Chu Xuanqing's words made everyone's blood boil. To put it bluntly, after Taoist Xianchang and the others rushed here, they were also full of grievances. They originally wanted to fight with the monster race and make some contributions, but they only saw a few figures running away. Originally, they wanted to plot for the right to guard Huangli Island, but Lu Ping flaunted the idea away with a few words. 8 mid and late core forging realm cultivators had come all the way here, but in the end, they accomplished nothing. How could they bear to lose face? Hearing Taoist Chu Xuanqing's words, Taoist Xianchang immediately said, "As you say, senior brother." Taoist Xinqing, Taoist Xin He, and the others were also happy. This was a chance to make a contribution. The monster race was injured, and this was a chance to beat them when they were down. They immediately said that they would go. Lu Ping secretly sighed. After all, the older the ginger, the spicier it was. Taoist Chu Xuanqing came out, and with a few words, not only did he make Taoist Xianchang and the others lose the stage, he also helped them out. "Okay, it's decided. Let's go now." Taoist Chu Xuanqing waved his hand, then turned to Lu Ping and said, "Little Lu, you don't have to go this time. Huangli Island has also suffered a lot from this battle. You need to stay and guard it. At the same time, when everyone goes out, there needs to be someone important to look after the place. You also need to pay attention to Xinqi Island." This time, the monster race was actually able to sneak into the island. It is hard to guarantee that there are people who are not enemies. You also need to be more careful. Lu Ping was full of admiration for Taoist Chu Xuanqing's methods and replied respectfully, "I will follow Uncle Master's instructions." Chapter 390. Lu Ping was more than willing to accept Taoist Master Chu Xuanqing's suggestion. Lu Ping had already smelled a conspiracy in the Battle of Huangli Island. Since Lu Ping returned to the East China Sea, he had been in the limelight too much. He really didn't want to be the focus of everyone in the cultivation world. The demon race had already suffered a crushing defeat in the sea area of Huangli Island. Although beating the drowning dog was icing on the cake, it was still the end of the battle. Taoist Master Chu Xuanqing's arrangement could not only share the credit with Taoist Master Xuanqing and the others, but also divert the attention of the North China Sea cultivation world from Huangli Island and Lu Ping. Lu Ping was naturally happy to see this. After sending away Chu Xuanqing and the others, Lu Ping turned around and said with a smile, "After spending most of the day, it's finally time for us to see the harvest." Among the 5 early-stage core forging realm cultivators, because the 2 core forging realm human pets had nothing else on them except for 2 magic weapons, Hu Lili and Qin Lian, including Zheng Jie, each got a demonic cultivator storage artifact. The 2 magic weapons of the human pets were also given to Hu Lili and Qin Lian to deal with. Zheng Jie didn't expect that she would also get a share. She said rather embarrassedly, "It was all thanks to junior brother Lu Ping's amethyst demon weapon that I was able to stop a core forging realm cultivator. For this, I lost more than 100 amethyst wasps. How can I take more?" Qin Lian said with a smile, "If you hadn't blocked one of them, I definitely wouldn't have been able to resist the attack of 2 demonic cultivators." Hu Lili also said, "You are only 1 step away from the core forging realm. With this harvest, I think you have accumulated enough. and can prepare to break through to the core forging realm. Seeing that everyone was like this, Zhang Jie was very excited to put away the storage artifact of a core forging realm demonic cultivator. The biggest harvest naturally belonged to Lu Ping himself. In the Battle of Huangli Island, a total of 3 core forging realm beast cultivators had fallen at the hands of Lu Ping. Looking through the storage artifacts of the 3 people, Lu Ping found 6 magic treasures. However, there was only 1 psychic treasure. A magic treasure that could condense the 4th restriction, whether it was the material of the magic treasure, the rarity of the restriction, or the difficulty of refining it, could be said to have a qualitative leap in magic treasures. Therefore, in the cultivation world, it might not be a big deal for an early core forging realm cultivator to have their own magic treasure, but for a mid-core forging realm cultivator to have a spiritual magic treasure was an extraordinary thing. The spiritual magic treasure in Lu Ping's hand was something like a horsewhip. It was the treasure obtained from Sage Ma, the first person Lu Ping killed. Unfortunately, this magic treasure was not easy for Lu Ping to use. Thinking of Sage Ma, Lu Ping's mind suddenly recalled what he said at that time. Lu Ping narrowed his eyes. This person kept talking about the North Sea and could see through Samling's background. Could it be that this person was not from the North Sea Demon Clan, but from the East Sea? Psychic magic treasures were also rare items among cultivators in the middle stage of the core forging realm. The Demon Clan was usually inferior to the Human Clan in refining tools and elixirs. Coupled with the poor cultivation resources in the North Sea, none of the other demon cultivators in the middle stage of the core forging realm who came to attack Huangli Island had a psychic magic treasure, but Master Ma had one. Thinking of the rich cultivation world in the East Sea, Lu Ping was more and more certain that Master Ma should be from the East Sea Demon Clan. When Lu Ping was traveling in the East Sea, he had heard of the Seahorse Clan among the East Sea Demon Clans. They were the best at long-distance flying. Could it be that this person was on an important mission from the East Sea to the North Sea? Lu Ping pondered for a long time, the expression on his face changing. No one knew what he was thinking. After a while, he put these magic treasures into his storage ring. In addition to these magic treasures, Lu Ping also collected a batch of spiritual herbs from the 3 people. There were hundreds of spiritual herbs ranging from 500 years old to 1,000 years old. The sea was boundless, and there were countless treasures in it. These demon clan lived in the sea all year round, so they were the best at collecting spiritual herbs. What made Lu Ping's eyes brighten were 70 or 80 high-grade spirit stones. Since Lu Ping advanced to the core forging stage, whether it was cultivation, alchemy, or the continuous attacks of the demon clan, the consumption of mid-grade spirit stones had become less and less able to meet Lu Ping's needs. However, the number of high-grade spirit stones was not abundant. The high-grade spirit stones that Lu Ping had accumulated over the years had basically been exhausted. This time, the high-grade spirit stones that he harvested could temporarily alleviate Lu Ping's situation, but it could only alleviate it. After Lu Ping advanced to the middle core forging stage, due to the characteristics of the Xinyuan heavy water, Lu Ping's Zhenqi would become unimaginably vigorous during his cultivation process. Thus, the consumption of spirit stones would reach a point that even a late core forging stage cultivator would be speechless. This was also a matter that could not be helped. While the Xinyuan heavy water brought unparalleled vigorous Zhenqi to the cultivator, it also greatly slowed down the cultivator's cultivation speed. If Lu Ping wanted to alleviate this situation, then using high-grade spirit stones to cultivate was one of the ways. Of course, it could only alleviate it. The rest of the low-grade spirit stones added up to 1,000,000. Lu Ping put them away. At this time, the low-grade spirit stones were just numbers in his eyes. Lu Ping looked at a milky white, jade-like thing in his hand with some uncertainty. This jade-like thing was also found in Taoist Ma's storage device. Lu Ping's divine sense could detect that it contained a rich and vigorous spiritual qi. It was even richer than the miniature spirit gathering pearl that Lu Ping once had. Could this thing be? Lu Ping patted the ground with his palm. Debao suddenly jumped out from the ground that Lu Ping had patted. His inquiring eyes did not look at Lu Ping. He was attracted by the palm-sized milky white jade in Lu Ping's hand. Lu Ping was already 70 to 80% sure in his heart. However, the corner of his mouth still revealed a trace of a smirk. He held the jade and moved it closer to Debeo. Debeo hesitantly took a step back. However, he immediately moved forward 2 steps. Lu Ping also placed the jade in front of Debeo's nose. Debeo fiercely sniffed the jade twice. His bean-sized eyes suddenly narrowed, revealing an expression of extreme enjoyment. Then, he began to stagger as if he was drunk. He staggered toward the golden house, which had become 2 feet tall. However, at this moment, the door of the golden house seemed to suddenly split into several in Debeo's eyes. The staggering Debeo clearly walked toward one of them. However, he felt a pain in his head. When he looked again, he actually bumped into the stone steps on the side of the golden house. Seeing Debeo fail to enter the door of the golden house several times in a row, Lu Ping laughed out loud. However, it was not because Debeo made a fool of himself, but because of the milky white jade in his hand. In the world of cultivation, there was a saying called spirit intoxication. Due to the excessive concentration of spiritual qi, some cultivators, or Yao beasts who were sensitive to spiritual qi would experience a phenomenon where the true essence and magic power within their body would become chaotic. The specific manifestation of this phenomenon was as if they were drunk. Thus, it was called spirit intoxication. The jade in Lu Ping's hand was also a type of spirit stone. Moreover, it was not an ordinary spirit stone. It was a spirit stone of the highest grade that Fa Xiang Laozu would often use. A spirit stone of the highest grade could only appear in large spirit mines. In the world of cultivation, a spirit stone of the highest grade was almost exclusively used by Fa Xiang Laozu. Lu Ping did not expect himself to be so lucky to be able to obtain a spirit stone of the highest grade. According to the common saying in the world of cultivation, a spirit stone of the highest grade was equivalent to 100 spirit stones of the highest grade. That was equivalent to 1,000,000 spirit stones. However, which cultivator in the world of cultivation would be foolish enough to exchange a spirit stone of the highest grade for 1,000,000 spirit stones? As for the use of top-grade spirit stones, after obtaining this top-quality spirit stone, Lu Ping was already overjoyed. But the surprise of today's battle seemed to be far more than that. Lu Ping played with the 2 stone-like objects in his hands. One was brown, and the other was black. These were 2 kinds of heaven and earth oddities. The brown one was the earth-attributed primordial brown stone, while the black one was the metal-attributed ferrotungsten. Metal elemental treasures were one thing, but earth elemental treasures were extremely rare in the outer seas. Not only were earth elemental treasures rare, earth elemental cultivation resources and earth elemental cultivation techniques were also rare in the outer seas. In order to help Debeo advance to the late blood condensation realm, Lu Ping had asked a few of his good friends to spend a lot of effort to find a few suitable earth elemental condensed blood pearls. Lu Ping had seen and obtained plenty of heaven and earth phase through various means and fortuitous encounters. However, he had never seen an earth attribute heaven and earth fey before. It wasn't that there weren't any earth elemental cultivation resources in the outer seas, but they were extremely rare. The truly abundant earth elemental cultivation resources were on the mainland, in the Middle Earth, which represented the highest level of cultivation in the world. The Middle Earth was truly a place that people yearned for. According to Lu Ping's knowledge, the truly outstanding Jinling cultivators, such as the 3 Truths and 4 Spirits, had mostly traveled to the Middle Earth. The Middle Earth's cultivation world was truly a place that people yearned for. Lu Ping collected his thoughts and began to ponder over the 2 heaven and earth fey treasures again. After a long while, he finally summoned the 7 Thunder Treasures calabash. Although Lu Ping didn't think about perfecting the 7 Thunder Treasures calabash, which seemed to be an impossible treasure, but these heaven and earth fey treasures were coincidentally obtained. If Lu Ping didn't use them, it would be a waste. It would be better to integrate them into the Thunder Calabash. Every 3 heaven and earth fey treasures could form a small magical power. Under Lu Ping's control, a small golden sword flew out of the Thunder Calabash and rotated around the ferrotungsten. In Lu Ping's spiritual force, he could clearly sense that the essence of the ferrotungsten was slowly being absorbed by the small golden sword. However, the small golden sword not only didn't grow bigger, but showed signs of shrinking. As for the other piece of origin brown stone, it was wrapped in a mass of yellow air. The yellow air mass was like a cloud of dust, and the origin brown stone was slowly decomposing, turning into a mass of brown dust mixed with the yellow air mass. The entire air mass also turned yellowish-brown. Among them, Taoist Master Xian Qing and two middle-stage core forging cultivators suffered serious injuries. Lu Ping's heart sank when he saw that everyone's face was solemn. However, he still asked Taoist Master Chu Xuanqing with some doubts, "Martial uncle, this time, didn't it go well?" Taoist Master Chu glanced at Lu Ping and said with a forced smile, "It went well. Only two core forging stage demon cultivators escaped. That black trash was also seriously injured by the old man and junior brother Xuanqing. It's hard to say whether there's any hope for him to reach the transcendent stage in the future. After that, we chased them all the way and encountered a few ignorant core forging stage demon cultivators along the way. We also killed them." Lu Ping saw that no one died in the group and that the pursuit was quite fruitful. But why did Chu Xuanqing and the others look so depressed? Lu Ping turned around and asked Taoist Master Xian He. Taoist Master Xian He glanced at Taoist Master Xian Chong and Taoist Master Xian Qing before telling Lu Ping in detail about the pursuit of the Demon Clan cultivators. It turned out that day, under the leadership of Taoist Master Chu Xuanqing, 9 core forging stage Demon Clan cultivators attacked the Demon Clan's encampment outside the Sea of Huangli Island. The encampment was quickly destroyed, and in the chaotic battle, Taoist Master Mo Wei was jointly attacked by Taoist Master Chu and Taoist Master Xian Chong. In terms of real strength, Taoist Master Mo Wei was not as strong as Taoist Master Chu. Now that he was attacked by the two of them, he was quickly defeated. Taoist Master Chu took advantage of the opportunity and used a great spell to severely injure him. The other Taoists also had their own gains. Not only were 2 core forging stage demon cultivators killed, but the entire Demon Clan encampment outside Huangli Island was also looted by the Taoists. After that, the group chased after the fleeing Demon Clan cultivators and made some gains along the way until Taoist Master Chu Xuanqing received an urgent message from Lu Ping. At first, the group naturally did not believe it. However, later on, Taoist Master Chu Xuanqing found signs of the Demon Clan's reinforcements. Thus, the group set up an ambush and captured a core forging stage demon cultivator. After using the soul-searching technique, they found out that not only was what Lu Ping said true, but the East Sea Demon Clan, North Sea Demon Clan, and South Sea Demon Clan had already begun to secretly contact each other with the intention of forming an alliance. At the same time, more than 10 core forging stage demon cultivators had been transferred from various places and surrounded the group, ready to ambush and kill them. Even a Transcendence Demon Clan Laozu had secretly rushed over. After everyone received the news, they were shocked. They no longer cared about killing the Demon Clan and rushed back. Taoist Master Chu Xuanqing and the others did not stay on Huangli Island for long. The teleportation formation on Huangli Island had already been rebuilt by Hu Lili. Taoist Master Chu Xuanqing also did not return to Xinqi Island. After the report, the news had already begun to spread in the North Sea cultivation world. These days, the number of cultivators on Huangli Island began to increase again. In order to prevent the teleportation formation on Huangli Island from being easily destroyed like the last time, Hu Lili specially set up a protective formation around the teleportation formation. At the same time, Lu Ping applied to the sect to borrow 2 teams of blood condensation cultivators, a total of 12 blood condensation cultivators. In addition to the previous 12 blood condensation cultivators, the small Huangli Island had a total of 24 cultivators responsible for patrolling the island and the sea. You want to go back to Tianling Mountain? Is it also because of the Overseas Demon Clan Alliance? Hu Lili asked in confusion. In her impression, Lu Ping rarely cared about such things. Other than that, I also want to find out about the attack on Huangli Island. Hu Lili said attentively. Did you notice something? Was there really a thief in the family? Lu Ping shook his head and said, I can't be sure, but there are too many suspicious points in this matter. I have to carefully think about it. If it was just a coincidence, then it's fine, But if there really was someone behind the scenes plotting against us, then a tooth for a tooth, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. We can't just suffer this loss. Lily smiled and said, outsiders only saw you taking advantage of them this time. That's why we have to find out the cause and effect of this matter. This time it was a fluke. If we don't know the reason, we may not be so lucky next time. If you leave, Huangli Island's defense will be empty. Lily was still a little worried. Lu Ping smiled and said, don't worry, the demon clan won't come again in a short period of time. Moreover, the 3 spirit veins are empty now. Once someone invades, with the support of the 3 spirit veins, even a core-forging late-stage cultivator may not be able to break the island's protective formation in a short period of time. Lu Ping thought for a moment and said, I left Samling behind. After the battle, the 3 of them have been clamoring to break through to the core-forging stage. I've already promised them, and the 3 little guys have happily gone into closed-door cultivation. You must remember not to let them show themselves in front of others before they transform. If someone finds out about them, it will cause trouble. Lily nodded, but Lu Ping continued, after I return to Tianling Mountain, I will send little Qin back. This way, the island's strength can be increased. This time, if little Qin hadn't coincidentally been taken away by little junior sister, you wouldn't have fallen into such a dangerous situation. Lily blinked her eyes and said, don't tell me that you also suspect that little Qin was deliberately taken away by someone? Lu Ping smiled bitterly and said, why is it impossible? Little junior sister wouldn't do that, but it's hard to say that no one encouraged her. Little Qin is a core-forging stage demon cultivator and is an important force of Huangli Island. Taking little Qin away will weaken Huangli Island's defense. Seeing that Lu Ping had arranged everything so carefully, Lily felt that something was wrong the more she thought about it. She asked again, are you going somewhere again this time? Will it take a long time? Lu Ping thought for a moment and said, maybe. If there is a need, I might have to go back to the East Sea first. Everything on Huangli Island will depend on you. Other than you, no one is allowed to enter the cultivation room. The spatial artifact inside cannot be seen by anyone. Luan Yu is a good friend of mine, but his identity is more sensitive than Samling's, so he won't reveal himself in front of others. But when I'm not around, he can be in charge of alchemy. Luan Yu's talent in alchemy is even higher than mine. It's only because my cultivation is a step higher than his that I'm inferior to him. Before returning to Huangli Island, Lu Ping secretly set up a small transmission array with Chun Lian in the underwater cave where they discovered the Spirit Ashen Earth mine. They secretly sent some blood-refining realm cultivators to Huangli Island to the underwater cave to mine the Spirit Ashen Earth mine. The Spirit Stalk Earth was an essential spirit, or for forging high-grade defensive magic treasures. Even some top-grade magic treasures required Spirit Stalk Earth. Its value was considerable for blood condensation realm cultivators. In front of Tianling Mountain's Hall of Repetitive Beauty, Lu Ping looked at the tightly shut main hall in shock. His teacher wasn't in Tianling Mountain and had been away for more than 10 days. This was the time when the monster race launched a large-scale attack on Huangli Island. Could this be a conspiracy? Lu Ping had no choice but to look for second senior sister Li Xuanru, but he couldn't find her. Fortunately, second senior sister's disciple informed Lu Ping that not only Li Xuanru, but third senior sister Zhao Xuanji and fourth senior sister Wang Xianjing had also left with their teacher. Helpless, Lu Ping could only return to his hearing surf manor. But just as he walked past the mountainside, he heard a shrill screech, followed by a roar. What a good bird demon! How dare you sneak into my Jinling manor? You're seeking death. Lu Ping's expression changed. He immediately sent his divine sense in the direction of the roar. Then, suppressing his anger, Lu Ping disappeared in the blink of an eye. Chapter 392. Lu Qiner didn't expect that she would suddenly be attacked by a mid-stage core-forging cultivator on Tianling Mountain. 5 spiraling and intertwining qi attacked her. Lu Qiner's entire body was suddenly covered with a green veil, and she tried her best to escape. However, this attack seemed to have been prepared for a long time, and all of Lu Qiner's escape routes had been calculated. Lu Qiner saw that she couldn't escape, and her eyes suddenly turned a blazing white. She knocked the jade bracelets on her wrist, and a black poisonous flame instantly floated out. At the same time, Lu Qiner opened her mouth, and a ball of life core fire also flew out. Then, she opened her left hand, and a scarlet flame appeared. The three flames were different in strength, and they flew in front of Lu Qiner in a triangular formation. At this moment, Lu Qiner's small face turned red, and she tried her best to dodge. Her hands formed several hand signs, and the three flames suddenly merged into a blazing white flame. The flame then turned into a foot-long fire wand, and it rushed towards the 5 chi attacks that were trying to strangle Lu Qiner. 3 consecutive explosions sounded, and the fire wand destroyed the 3 chi attacks. However, the fire wand was also exhausted by the 3 chi attacks, and it turned into nothingness in the sky. Although the power of the 2 chi attacks had been greatly weakened, Lu Qiner's jade bracelet made a sound, and an ice wall appeared in front of her. However, Lu Qiner was still unable to fully display the power of the ice and fire bracelets. The fire bracelet's power was greatly weakened in her hands. Although the ice wall formed by the ice true water blocked one of the chi attacks, the other chi attack still hit Lu Qiner's body, and Lu Qiner's bright red face suddenly turned deathly white. Hey, I didn't think that a bird demon like you would be able to use a small magical technique. The assailant clearly hadn't expected Lu Qiner to be able to take on his sneak attack with all his might. 2 balls of light, green and red, flickered on Lu Qiner's body. When the balls of light disappeared, a Luan with a wingspan of 30 feet suddenly appeared in midair. It flew towards a cultivator in his 30s and let out an angry screech. What a Luan! Not only did you sneak into my Jinling's place of inheritance, you even dared to resist. Today, I'll skin you alive, pull out your bones, and dig out your Yao core. The cultivator sneered and stretched out his hand towards the sky. A giant hand formed by essence chi suddenly appeared above Lu Qiner's head and grabbed towards her. At this time, Lu Qiner was already seriously injured. After transforming back to her original form, she was unable to move under the cultivator's essence chi hand. Just as Lu Qiner was about to be captured, a golden light suddenly pierced through the air. The cultivator's expression changed, but it was already too late for him to stop. When the golden light stopped in front of Lu Qiner, the giant hand formed by essence chi in the sky had already been cut in half by the golden light. When Lu Qiner saw that the golden light in front of her was a flying sword covered in a layer of fine golden scales, she immediately let out a happy cry. The cultivator's left hand was behind his back and a trace of blood could be faintly seen on his left palm. When the cultivator saw the golden sword in front of the azure wand, his expression changed. He then shouted in a stern voice, "Who dares to protect this bird demon that sneaked into the legacy land? Do you think I, Junling, am nothing?" A blue stream of water flowed through the sky like a celestial river. The water fell in the sky above Lu Qiner and suddenly turned into a young man in his 20s. He looked at the cultivator standing in front of the stone door with a sneer on his face. When Lu Qiner saw this person, she immediately let out a few more cries. This time, it was not a happy cry, but a bit of grievance. Lu Ping patted the azure wand's head and scolded with a smile. Grievance? A mere first-level core forging Yao cultivator actually made the cultivator guarding the legacy land shout that there was a demon infiltrating the legacy land with malicious intentions. I always thought that only a Dharma manifestation Yao cultivator could enjoy such treatment. I wonder what this fellow Taoist is thinking. Could it be that, in your opinion, my Jinling's headquarters is only worthy of a newly transformed Yao cultivator from the Yao clan to spy on the situation? Or is it that my Jinling's defenses are only for show and the fellow disciples outside are just decorations? Can a newly transformed Yao cultivator fly into Heavenly Spirit Mountain? At the end of his words, Lu Ping's words were already questioning the cultivator guarding the stone door. This was clearly a plot against Lu Qiner. Lu Qiner was brought back to Heavenly Spirit Mountain by her junior sister. Although she was ignorant of worldly affairs, she would never leave Lu Qiner alone. However, the current situation was that her junior sister had indeed been separated from Lu Qiner, and Lu Qiner had inexplicably appeared in front of the Legacy Land. If it were not for Lu Ping's timely arrival, Lu Ping could now imagine what would happen next. Lu Qiner would be treated as a demon spy by the cultivator guarding the Legacy Land and killed by the cultivator. After that, she could use the excuse of not knowing the inside story as an excuse to shirk responsibility. Lu Qiner's figure changed again, turning back into the appearance of a little girl. She pointed at the cultivator in front of the stone door and said, "I've seen you before. Sister Xianxian and I have been playing in the back mountain of Heavenly Spirit Mountain for the past few days. I saw you when I passed by here a few days ago. If I'm a spy, why didn't you attack back then?" Lu Ping looked at the man with an even more mocking expression, but his eyes were filled with killing intent. "Nonsense." The cultivator's expression changed, and he said angrily, "When did I see you? This is the Legacy Land of the sect. Any non-sect cultivator who enters will be killed without exception. This is the sect's iron rule." Lu Ping ignored the cultivator's explanation and asked, "Qiner, why are you here alone? Where's Sister Xianxian?" Lu Qiner said angrily, "I was playing hide and seek with Sister Xianxian and the others, but I couldn't find them anywhere. In the end, I found this place. I don't know why, but this person suddenly ran out to kill me. If it weren't for Big Brother, I would have been killed by him." "Oh, them?" Lu Ping squinted and saw a trace of nervousness in the cultivator's eyes. He immediately sneered and used his divine sense to explore the valley in all directions. The cultivator in front of Lu Ping was shocked and exclaimed, "Divine sense pressure. This is impossible. How can you be at the late core forging stage?" Lu Ping looked at him with a faint smile and said, "So you know me?" The cultivator knew he had said something wrong, but he still snorted and said, "Who doesn't know the famous water sword immortal?" Lu Ping did not argue with him. Instead, he bent his right hand's middle finger and thumb and flicked in a direction deep in the valley. The cultivator's expression changed, but it was too late to stop him. He exclaimed, "Stop! What are you doing? This is the sect's inheritance ground." In a moment of desperation, the cultivator once again sent out 5 beams of energy. This time, the 5 beams twisted in the air and headed straight for Lu Ping. The power of this attack was obviously much stronger than the one he had just used on Lu Qiner. A blue protective aura appeared in front of Lu Ping. The light curtain rippled under the impact of the energy, but it still blocked the cultivator's attack in front of Lu Ping. The cultivator's expression became even more unsightly. His attack with all his strength couldn't even break this person's protective aura. Was this person's strength really so incredible? Then there was a clap of thunder in the sky, and a golden lightning instantly struck an open space deep in the mountain. A spherical purple light curtain suddenly appeared in the open space during the lightning strike. It was immediately shattered by the lightning, revealing a few people, including Jiang Xianxian. A female cultivator next to her spat out a mouthful of blood and looked at Lu Ping in horror. "Hey, 9th senior brother, you're back? Are you here to take Xiaoqiner away?" Jiang Xianxian saw that Lu Ping was looking at her from afar, and her face immediately lit up. She skipped over and said, "When I took Xiaoqiner back, I was scolded by my mother. She said that Xiaoqiner is now a great helper of 9th senior brother and shouldn't just play by herself. But on Tianling Mountain, no one can play with me except Xiaoqiner. That's why I pulled Xiaoqiner and didn't let her go back. 9th senior brother, are you upset? Senior sister Xianying was injured by you." Lu Ping looked at Daoist Xianying, who was spitting out blood. She was Hu Lily's eldest senior sister. He knew the female cultivators next to her. Their cultivation levels were all different, and most of them were in the blood condensation realm. Lu Ping looked at the naive little junior martial sister. He couldn't understand why talented figures like his teacher and enlightened master, Xiao Yao, would raise their daughter to be so naive and naive. Faced with his junior sister's question, Lu Ping didn't want to explain too much. He just asked, "Junior sister, do you know what's going on outside the array while hiding in the array?" Jiang Xianxian shook her head and said, "I don't know. Senior sister Xianying's array is really brilliant. Xiaoqiner couldn't find us even after so long. If it wasn't for 9th senior brother, she definitely wouldn't have found us." As expected, Lu Ping sighed and asked, Junior sister, have you ever seen someone hide in a place that's completely isolated from the outside world when they're playing hide and seek? Jiang Xuanxuan's naivety stemmed from her ignorance of worldly affairs, not her stupidity. On the contrary, she was a smart girl. Otherwise, she wouldn't have been able to cultivate to the core forging realm. When she saw the injured Qin Er and Xian Ying, who were casually injured by Lu Ping, as well as the shifty gazes of her so-called playmates, Jiang Xianxian immediately sensed that something was amiss. Lu Ping thought about it and felt that it was better not to let his junior sister participate in these things. After all, he didn't know why Master and Jiang Tianlin Laozu pampered his junior sister. So he said, Junior sister, take Xiao Qin Er back first. I still have something to do here. Jiang Xianxian knew that she seemed to have done something wrong today, so she obediently held Lu Qiner's hand and walked towards the top of Tianling Mountain. With Jiang Xianxian around, Lu Ping wasn't afraid that anyone would dare to attack Lu Qiner. Seeing that Jiang Xianxian and Lu Qiner had gone far away, the cultivators in the depths of the valley also slipped away. Lu Ping naturally wouldn't care about the blood condensation realm minor repairs. They probably didn't have the guts to participate in this kind of thing. Seeing that the cultivator in front of him was obviously a little nervous, Lu Ping smiled and said, I haven't asked for your name yet. Also, the other cultivators hiding behind the stone door, why don't you come out and meet me? Chapter 393. As soon as Lu Ping's voice fell, the cultivator in front of him was stunned for a moment, and then a little anxious. At this moment, a skinny cultivator had already walked out from the stone door behind him. As he walked, he said with a smile, Junior brother Lu has such a sharp divine sense. I'm Xin Xiang, and this is junior brother Xin Yu. Both of us are cultivators who are guarding this place of inheritance. Since that blue phoenix is junior brother Lu's spirit pet, it's naturally a misunderstanding. Junior brother Xin Yu has offended you earlier, so let's stop this matter here. How about junior brother Lu? Lu Ping looked at Daoist Xin Xiang and suddenly smiled. Senior brother Xin Xiang revealed your 6th layer core forging cultivation as soon as you came out, and your divine sense even swam around me in waves. Are you trying to intimidate me? Daoist Xin Xiang was startled, and then his face darkened. Junior brother Lu, although you are famous, and it is said that you have recently broken through to the mid-stage core forging stage, how many years have you been cultivating? If today's matter ends here, we won't be on good terms. If junior brother Lu is determined to pursue this matter, we wholeheartedly guard the land of inheritance. At most, we will be accused of making a mountain out of a molehill and be laughed at. Could it be that the sect will punish us for our loyalty and devotion? Lu Ping naturally knew that what this person said was true. Although it was obvious that this was targeted at Lu Ping, the other party had planned this carefully, so they naturally took care of everything. Moreover, Lu Qiner was a demon cultivator, and because of Lu Ping's timely appearance, their plot did not succeed. Therefore, in the face of a great enemy, the sect would not pursue this matter for a demon pet in the end for the sake of internal unity. However, Lu Ping had been schemed against for no reason. If he did not say anything, wouldn't he be boosting the arrogance of the person who schemed against him? If there was one time, there would naturally be a second time, or even more. Naturally, Lu Ping would not allow these dangers to appear by his side. Since he could not find the source of the scheme now, it would not be too late to deal with it in the future. Since this is senior brother Xian Yu's duty, I naturally have nothing to say. However, senior brother Xin Xiang just said that I've only been cultivating for a short period of time and that I haven't accumulated enough experience. You've hit the nail on the head. I've just broken through to the middle stage of the core forging realm, and I'm overestimating myself. Daoist Xin Xiang's expression changed. He found it funny and said, Is this a provocation, junior brother Lu? If that's the case, then I'm taking advantage of your cultivation base. Daoist Xin Yu, who was at the side, had a mocking look on his face as he said, You really overestimate yourself. Do you know who senior brother Xin Xiang is? Before junior brother Lu entered the North Sea rookie list, senior brother Xin Xiang was already an expert in the top 30 of the rookie list. There were no less than 5 middle-stage core forging realm demon cultivators who died in his hands. This time, Senior Brother's cultivation base has even broken through to the 6th layer core forging realm. He's on par with the experts in the top 10 of the rookie list. You're just relying on the fact that you have a good teacher. Although your cultivation base has risen quickly, how can it compare to Senior Brother Xian Xiang's cultivation base, which he's fought for? Today, Lao Zhu is not on Tianling Mountain. Don't tell me you're still thinking of having someone to back you up? Lu Ping looked at Daoist Xinyu in amusement and said with a smile, "So you know that teacher isn't on Tianling Mountain?" "That's right. If teacher was on Tianling Mountain, where would you find the courage to kill my demon pet?" Daoist Xinyu opened his mouth to refute, but Daoist Xian Xiang stretched out his hand to stop him. He said, "There's no point in saying anything more. Since Junior Brother Lu wants to fight, then I'll accompany you. I have to let Junior Brother Lu know that in the cultivation world, one ultimately relies on one's own strength, and not on having a teacher that no one is willing to provoke." Lu Ping narrowed his eyes slightly, and a cold light flickered in his half-revealed gaze. This person's words were quite disrespectful to his teacher, Lao Zhu, which made Lu Ping's dislike for him increase by another level. Lu Ping said no more. The golden scale sword slowly rose from his back, and the tip of the sword pointed at Daoist Xianxiang. Daoist Xianxiang's expression turned solemn, and two scimitar-like treasures slowly revolved around him. He was secretly on guard. Although he did not think that Lu Ping was a match for him, he had done some research on Lu Ping before. He knew that Lu Ping was not like how ordinary people understood him to be. Most of his achievements were due to the protective teacher behind him. At the very least, Lu Ping's achievements in swordsmanship and his defeat of Ouyang Weijian at the Heavenly Spirit Dharma Phenomenon Assembly were solid achievements. So what if he has great swordsmanship? It depends on who's using it. People like Lu Ping and Ouyang Weijian mostly rely on their own teacher's influence. They think that if their cultivation speed is fast and they comprehend some remarkable techniques, they'll be geniuses. They don't know that true geniuses don't look at how fast you go now, but how far you can go in the future. Now that your cultivation seems to be advancing by leaps and bounds, how much time do you have to solidify your foundation? When you break through to the late core forging stage and enter the transcendent stage, you'll realize that your cultivation is just a castle in the air. In the end, even geniuses will fade into the crowd. Daoist Xian Xiang looked at Lu Ping in front of him, and his heart churned with such thoughts. However, he did not think that he was in the top 30 of the North Sea rookie list. In the eyes of others, he was also a genius. It was just that Lu Ping was younger than him, had a faster cultivation growth, and was ranked higher on the rookie list. That was why he had such thoughts. In the end, it was all because of jealousy. Lu Ping did not decline. Seeing that his opponent was ready, the golden scale sword let out a long cry and pierced toward Daoist Xianxiang. Daoist Xianxiang was not Daoist Xinyu, so he would not let Lu Ping break his spell and injure his wrist. The pair of curved blades in his hands crossed in the air and blocked the golden scale sword. Daoist Xianxiang easily blocked Lu Ping's attack, and a cold smile appeared on his face. It seemed to confirm his previous guess about Lu Ping. However, before the smile disappeared from his face, he saw the golden scale sword suddenly transform into a dark blue giant sword that pierced through the sky, directly slashing toward him. Daoist Xianxiang was right. Although magical powers were powerful, it also depended on who was using them. After Lu Ping had advanced to the mid-core forging stage by smelting a heaven-grade spiritual object, the power of the true essence sword strike had more than doubled. Daoist Xianxiang's expression changed dramatically. His hands were like butterflies flying through flowers, and in one breath, he made dozens of hand seals. The pair of curved blades danced in the air, forming a blade storm that nibbled at the giant sword. Unexpectedly, this was also a minor magical power. However, in front of Lu Ping's true essence sword strike, this blade storm was like a clay chicken or pottery dock. The giant sword pierced straight through the sky and fiercely slashed toward Daoist Xianxiang, who was in disbelief. Clang! An ear-piercing sound rang out. Daoist Xianxiang, who was trying his best to dodge, could only recall his curved blades and use all of his true essence to block Lu Ping's sword strike. Daoist Xianxiang's complexion suddenly turned purple. Daoist Xianxiang realized that Lu Ping's first attack was only a probe, but he had underestimated his opponent because of that sword strike. However, was it really an underestimation? Lu Ping looked at Daoist Xianxiang's faintly trembling hands with a disdainful expression. Lu Ping's expression fell into Daoist Xianxiang's eyes and made him feel ashamed and resentful. Daoist Xianxiang roared, and the pair of curved blades turned into a rolling blade wheel that carried a whistling wind as it pressed toward Lu Ping. Wind blade wheel, another minor magical power. Daoist Xianxiang had once used this minor magical power to kill a demon cultivator of the same level in one fell swoop. This was the ultimate skill that made him famous. Lu Ping let out a long laugh and said, "Looks like senior brother Xianxiang's accumulation still needs to be improved. Since senior brother wants to have a great battle to your heart's content, then senior brother Xian, you shouldn't be a spectator." The golden scale sword turned into a sky full of sword light, instantly forming a sword dragon. The sword dragon turned ingeniously in the sky and used its tail to swing toward the side of the blade wheel. With one strike, Daoist Xianxiang's famous wind blade wheel was broken into two curved blades. Under Daoist Xianxiang's shocked and furious expression, Lu Ping's sword dragon once again drew a big several in the sky. This time, Daoist Xianxiang, who was watching from the side, was also included. Lu Ping's words were very clear. Since you, Daoist Xianxiang, want to have a great battle, then you can't be the only one. You have to let me have a great battle as well. However, the key point is that you, Daoist Xianxiang, are not strong enough to have a great battle with me. So, I, Lu Ping, can only reluctantly fight 1 against 2 and see if I can have a great battle. This was naked mockery and thick disdain. Daoist Xianxiang had always thought highly of himself, so how could he be ridiculed like this? As his two blades tried to block the golden scale sword's endless attacks, an ancient mirror suddenly appeared in his hand. He waved it toward Lu Ping, and a ray of spirit light shrouded Lu Ping. Lu Ping wanted to dodge, but it was too late. Not only was this ray of spirit light fast, but it seemed to have locked onto Lu Ping. No matter where he dodged, the ray of spirit light followed him like a shadow and imprinted itself on Lu Ping's body. Lu Ping suddenly felt as if he had been hit by an immobilizing spell and couldn't move. Daoist Xianxiang let out half a laugh, but it was as if something was strangling his neck, and he swallowed the second half of his laughter. Another Lu Ping had already appeared on the other side, and the Lu Ping imprinted by the spirit light had turned into a puddle of water. With one golden scale sword, Lu Ping surrounded Xianxiang and Xinyu, two cultivators in the middle stage of the core forging realm. The two of them used everything they had, but they could not do anything to Lu Ping. They could only roar in anger. The three of them were fighting in front of the gate of Heaven's Spirit Mountain's land of inheritance, so there was no way the commotion would be small. Jinling core forging realm cultivators in the area had long since formed a huge net with their divine senses as they watched the fight closely. However, at that moment, Lu Ping could use the golden scale sword with ease. Even when Xianxiang and Xinyu worked together, they could not break through the sword net Lu Ping had set up. They could only struggle bitterly. If this continued, it was only a matter of time before the two of them were defeated. At that moment, a long whistle came from the distance, and it was soon followed by a loud laugh. What a great fight! Let me, Xianxiang, join in the fun as well. Daoist Xianxiang's expression was dark, but delight appeared on Reverend Xianyu's face. He looked as if he wanted to say something, but a long spear drew 3 spear sparks in the sky and attacked Lu Ping, Xianxiang, and Xinyu. A ray of light landed in the middle of the battlefield, and it was naturally Reverend Xianxiang, who had been laughing loudly just now. He said, "No matter what you're here for, let's fight first." Xianxiang and Xinyu were suppressed by Lu Ping, and regardless of whether they were willing or not, Lu Ping broke Reverend Xianxiang's spear sparks with a slash and said with a smile, "Then let's fight." Right when he finished speaking, another long whistle came from the sky. Chapter 394. When Reverend Xianxiang came in, He did not bother to distinguish between right and wrong and attacked randomly with his long spear. He did not expect that Lu Ping's eyes would also light up when he saw this sort of fighting style, and he also attacked randomly. Reverend Xianxiang was an elite in the 6th level of the core forging realm. Aside from defending himself against Reverend Xianxiang and Lu Ping's attacks, he could also occasionally counterattack. Reverend Xinyu, on the other hand, had to suffer in silence. Even though his cultivation base was also at the 4th level of the core forging realm, the grade of the spirit items of the universe he had refined was not high, and his strength was much weaker than the other 3. Otherwise, even if Lu Qiner had obtained the legacy of the Fire Yuan, Reverend Xin, you would not have been unable to kill a monster cultivator in the 1st level of the core forging realm when he ambushed her. That was why, even though the 4 of them were engaged in a chaotic battle, Reverend Xin Yu remained on the defensive the entire time. He could not even launch a single attack. Reverend Xianxiang had just exchanged a few blows with Lu Ping and was forced dozens of feet back by Lu Ping's profound sword technique when he heard another long howl. Before the person arrived, a bolt of lightning had already descended on Lu Ping. The person said, "Since this is a chaotic battle, Xinlei come." Lu Ping did not dodge the descending lightning. Instead, 5 light curtains appeared in front of him. Before the lightning could penetrate 3 of the light curtains, it was worn out. A silvery figure landed on the battlefield like a bolt of lightning. Lu Ping flicked his hand, and a Gungjinin thunder fell on the newcomer. Lu Ping laughed loudly and said, "It's impolite not to reciprocate. Senior brother, take this move of mine." Lu Ping's golden scale sword turned into sword flashes that filled the sky and continued to surround Reverend Xianxiang, Reverend Xianxiang, and Reverend Xianyu to put pressure on them. Right when Reverend Xianlei executed a lightning elemental divine ability to block Lu Ping's lightning of metal element, the sword art of raging waves crashing on shore surrounded him with a strange sound of waves. As the 5 of them fought each other, Lu Ping still had the absolute upper hand. However, this seemed to be just the beginning. Just after spiritual master Xinlei fell into the battle, a giant boat with the momentum of braving the wind and waves intervened into the battle and crashed into everyone. A loud laugh came from the giant ark. "The profound ark is here. Everyone make way." What welcomed enlightened Xianzhou was Lu Ping's massive torrent of swordsmanship minor divine ability. The monstrous sword waves seemed to want to overturn everything floating above the sea of swords. Taoist Xianzhou cried out in alarm. He had already drilled out of the ship, but the golden scale sword had already destroyed the ship. Taoist Xianzhou's heart ached as he put away the broken ship and roared, "I'll fight you all." Then he summoned a black iron puppet and a bronze puppet and jumped back into the fray, attacking everyone around him. "I am Xin Xing. Look at my fire meteor." A middle-aged cultivator strode forward, one of his hands pointing up into the sky. When he arrived before them, he turned his hand downwards, and a clump of fire clouds that had unknowingly gathered abruptly descended a rain of fire to envelop them all. So. However, not waiting for this group of fire clouds to be launched for a long time, a group of dark clouds had unknowingly appeared above it. Lu Ping's golden scale sword splashed out, and a series of strange sword techniques comprehended from the land of inheritance hit Taoist Xianzhou's bronze puppet, causing sparks to fly everywhere. Then he made a hand sign and shouted, "Descend!" A bolt of lightning flashed across the sky, followed by dense needle-like rain sprinkling from the dark clouds above the fire clouds. In a moment, the fire clouds were completely watered. Art of moving clouds and summoning rain. After Lu Ping refined the profound essence heavy water and advanced to the middle stage of core forging, each of the North Sea's 12 orthodox techniques in Lu Ping's hands was no less powerful than a minor magical ability. The number of people fighting in the melee had already reached the middle stage of core forging, but Lu Ping still had the absolute advantage. He madly attacked everyone along the way, and the circle formed by the golden scale sword was getting bigger and bigger. At the same time, he also used a variety of magical attacks, overwhelming everyone. However, everyone's magical attacks towards Lu Ping were blocked by a thick layer of light curtain. Lu Ping had already condensed 5 water elemental natural treasures, and each time he condensed a substantial amount of natural treasures, the five-layered water curtain chi in front of him was almost as strong as a spirit-channeling grade defensive mystic treasure. The defensive power of the five-layered water curtain chi was almost on par with the spirit-channeling grade defensive mystic treasure. Is this still AF * King Minor protective divine ability? Reverend Profound Thunder's angry curse caused all the people attacking Lu Ping to feel the same way. The melee might seem chaotic, but every single cultivator followed a certain pattern. They either attacked or retreated, and none of them brought out any defensive enchanted treasures. Because of that, Lu Ping's protective chi might seem to have a great advantage, but in truth, since Lu Ping was the strongest in the melee, even though everyone was attacking each other, every time Lu Ping attacked, his attacks were too powerful and everyone had to work together to block them. On the other hand, if they wanted to threaten Lu Ping, they had to work together to attack Lu Ping, and only then would they be able to make Lu Ping wary. This battle seemed to have attracted the interest of the middle stage core forging cultivators on Heaven Spirit Mountain. Haha, I, Xinshan, am here. Reverend Xuanshang shouted, Uncle Master, this is a competition between us juniors. Why are you interfering? Reverend Xinshan glared at him and scolded, Brat, why are you spouting so much nonsense? We'll talk after we fight. Right when Reverend Xinshan finished speaking, a bolt of sunflower lightning fell on him without a sound. Reverend Xinshan cursed loudly, which Brat launched a surprise attack. Rolling yellow dust swept towards them. Even though it did not block the group's vision, the people fighting suddenly felt their bodies freeze, as if they were affected by the yellow dust and became less agile. Reverend Xuanshan's smug laughter rang out. Brats, how's the power of this minor divine ability? Dust settles. From the old man? Right when he finished speaking, a wave suddenly surged up from the yellow dust and pounced in one direction. A clean path instantly appeared in the yellow dust. Reverend Xinshan shouted angrily, Who was it? Who broke my art? Uncle Master Xinshan, you're still as bad as ever. You only take advantage of others and never suffer losses. When Lu Ping looked over, he saw that Reverend Xinshan, the disciple of Jiang Tianlin and Lao Zu of Xiaoyao, had also charged in. Previously, whenever someone joined the battle, Lu Ping would be the first to attack. However, Reverend Xinshan had always given Lu Ping a good impression. Besides, Zhonghua and the disciples of Xiaoyao had always thought of themselves as family, so there was no reason for Lu Ping to attack his senior brother. More and more people joined the battle. Lu Ping had been maintaining an aggressive stance, but now, he had no choice but to restrain himself. In the end, the 18 cultivators in the middle stage of the core forging realm fought on their own and attacked everyone else besides themselves. The scale of the battle also grew larger, but to Lu Ping's surprise, the battle did not cause any damage to the environment around them. Lu Ping's heart skipped a beat. He carefully probed the surroundings with his divine sense and found that an invisible barrier had formed around them. It seemed like they were fighting here, but in fact, they were in a space that was isolated from the surrounding environment. This was definitely the work of Fa Xiang Laozu. There were already Fa Xiang Laozu who had noticed their battle. However, this was inevitable. It would be strange if Fa Xiang Laozu didn't take it seriously when 18 cultivators in the middle stage of the core forging realm were fighting at the entrance of Tianling Mountain's inheritance. As more and more cultivators gathered around to watch the battle, Lu Ping could sense that the divine sense webs around him were getting denser and denser. There were even some with strong divine senses that exuded a faint aura. Clearly, they were the late core forging realm cultivators on Tianling Mountain. Perfected being Guo Xianshan was currently in charge of the daily affairs of Zhenling sect. The battle here had naturally alerted him, but after showing his face, Perfected being Guo Xianshan left without looking back. What a joke. 18 of the sect's most outstanding mid-stage core forging realm cultivators were fighting. Although Guo Xianshan had condensed a 7th grade golden core and was considered a transcendence cultivator in the eyes of others, he wasn't confident that he could separate them. If the dozen of them joined forces, he might even be injured by them. If that happened, it would be really embarrassing. In this chaotic battle, the most eye-catching one was undoubtedly Tianling Laozu's 9th disciple, water sword deity Lu Xianping. The strength of the 18 mid-stage core forging realm cultivators could also be determined. The truly powerful cultivators were generally able to stand in the middle of the battle. When they attacked the surrounding cultivators, they could also resist the counterattacks of the surrounding cultivators. Although the cultivators standing in the middle of the battle could prove their strength, the consumption of their spiritual essence was also immeasurable when facing the siege of so many cultivators. Therefore, the cultivators who could occupy the center of the battle often couldn't last long and would retreat from the center of the battle under the siege of others. This formed a rotation, and the stronger the cultivator, the longer they could last. However, there was one exception among the 18 cultivators. This person had been present since the beginning of the battle. Even when 7 or 8 perfected ones had gathered to fight, this person had maintained an absolute advantage. As more and more cultivators joined the battle, this person could no longer maintain the absolute advantage. However, he was still like a boulder, standing in the middle of the battle. The cultivators who stood with him in the center had long been replaced. This person was Lu Ping. Relying on the vigorous spiritual essence brought by the Xinyuan heavy water and the use of several minor magical arts and dharma spells, Lu Ping had always occupied the center of the battle and had always been outnumbered. And Lu Ping's long-term dominance had also aroused the competitiveness of many cultivators. Although everyone was fighting each other, because of Lu Ping's dominance, many cultivators often attacked Lu Ping at the same time, hoping to drive him out of the center of the battle. Unfortunately, they all failed. Gradually, the way the cultivators looked at Lu Ping changed. There might be fighting spirit, provocation, or unwillingness in their eyes, but there was one thing they all shared in common: respect for the strong. Lu Ping's eyes were filled with fighting spirit, provocation, and even unwillingness. But there was one thing in common: respect for the strong. The chaotic battle in the back mountain of Tianling Mountain was destined to be talked about enthusiastically by the Jinling cultivators, and even passed down. Chapter 395. The battle at the back of Tianling Mountain attracted more and more Jinling cultivators' attention. In the open space at the edge of the battle, a ball of light suddenly appeared. A cultivator who was not much older than Lu Ping appeared in the ball of light. The cultivator looked left and right. When he saw the people who were fighting, he happily said, "You guys continue. I'll set up a formation to surround all of you. If you have the ability, you can break the formation alone. If you don't want to be shameless, you can also join hands with others to break the formation." After saying that, he ignored the people who were engaged in a chaotic battle and raised his hand, causing several kinds of formation tools to fall around the battlefield. Lu Ping found this person interesting. Formation masters rarely participated in the battle between cultivators. Not only did this person want to interfere, but he also wanted everyone to wait for him to finish setting up the formation. How could it be so easy? Lu Ping laughed loudly. "If you want to set up the formation, you can. But first, you have to go through this and report your name first." With that said, a silver jade seal suddenly flew out from the middle of the battle. It grew several tens of feet high in the sky and smashed down towards the cultivator who was about to set up the formation. The bottom of the jade seal was engraved with 2 ancient characters: landslide. The cultivator suddenly felt as if he had been stuck by this seal. No matter where he went, he would not be able to escape from the landslide. The people who were fighting seemed to agree with Lu Ping's method. Although Lu Ping was being besieged by everyone, when he used landslide, no one stopped him. The cultivator let out a strange cry and said, "See how I, enlightened Master Xianwei, break your big seal." A formation board that looked like the terrain of a mountain was held up high by enlightened Master Xianwei. Then, the clothes that he was wearing suddenly lit up with spirit light. Countless formation runes flashed on his clothes, resonating with the formation board in his hand. The formation board in enlightened Master Xuanwei's hand suddenly grew bigger. It was as if a mountain was really created in the back of Tianling Mountain. Just when landslide whistled down, the ground suddenly cracked into a bottomless abyss, wanting to swallow landslide whole. Taoist Xianwei smiled complacently. "This grand seal of yours is called landslide. But this formation of mine is called shatter, and it just happens to counter this grand seal of yours." Lu Ping smiled and pointed his finger into the distance. Landslide, which was about to be devoured, suddenly paused in midair. Its body gradually shrank and was about to fly back to the battlefield. Taoist Master Xianwei shouted, "You still want to take back your magic treasure? You'll have to see if I agree to it first." The shatter formation continued to operate. The cracked abyss suddenly became deeper and deeper. A suction force suddenly came out from the abyss, tightly pulling Landslide that was about to fly back to Lu Ping. It seemed that it would not stop until Landslide was subdued. Lu Ping smiled in the middle of the battlefield. His left hand made a grabbing action in midair. Landslide trembled in midair and immediately broke free from the suction force of the abyss. It flew back to Lu Ping. On the contrary, Taoist Master Xianwei's full power attack was easily broken by Lu Ping. His qi surged up and had nowhere to vent, causing his complacent face to turn red. No matter what, Taoist Master Xianwei had taken a blow from Lu Ping. He had the qualification to set up a formation. Taoist Master Xianwei hesitated for a long time, but he took back the few formation tools that he had set up earlier. Then, he changed to a few other tools. Then, with a smirk, he said painfully, "This time, I'll let you know how powerful I, Taoist Master Xianwei, want to break out of the formation alone? Dream on." On the other side of the battlefield, Lu Ping had just taken back Landslide. A cultivator in midair had already stuck close to Lu Ping's back like a ghost. Lu Ping's divine sense was very sharp. This cultivator named Xian Ci was obviously related to Taoist Master Xianyin. His concealment method was quite brilliant. Previously, he had caused a lot of trouble for Lu Ping. This Taoist Master Xian Ci did not stay in the middle of the battlefield because of his cultivation style. However, many of the cultivators who stayed in the middle of the battlefield were expelled from the center of the battlefield by his ghost-like attack. However, just when he took out a short sword and stabbed at Lu Ping's back, his vision suddenly blurred. A total of 18 Lu Ping suddenly appeared in front of him, but in the end, he had surrounded him in the middle. Taoist Master Xian Ci's expression did not change. The short sword danced, and in an instant, 6 Lu Ping were cut into a pool of water. However, in the end, he still could not find the real body of Lu Ping. Then, Taoist Master Xian Ci felt his waist tighten. A long whip had already wrapped around him. The short sword in Taoist Master Xian Ci's hand immediately flicked at the long whip. However, it could do nothing to the long whip on his waist. "It's a spiritual magic treasure." Taoist Master Xian Ci just had this thought in his mind. Then, a huge force came from the long whip. Taoist Master Xian Ci tried his best to control his body. However, a tyrannical and overbearing true essence directly suppressed his cultivation. When Taoist Master Xian Ci finally broke free from Lu Ping's control, he had already fallen to the outermost edge of the battlefield. Taoist Master Xian Ci knew that he had already lost to Lu Ping. However, the battle was still going on. Taoist Master Xian Ci naturally had no reason to retreat. He clenched the short sword in his hand and glanced at Lu Ping's direction. Then, he suddenly jumped and once again joined the battle. Lu Ping had just forced Taoist Master Xian Ci back, and the cultivators beside him instantly felt that they had a chance. They simultaneously released their most powerful attacks in an attempt to force Lu Ping back. The power of these attacks might be great, but when they attacked, they intentionally or unintentionally avoided each other's vital parts. Lu Ping was distracted. At that moment, the long whip had just taken control of Taoist Master Xian Ci. Golden Scale Sword charged forward and turned into a sword screen in front of Lu Ping to block all the attacks. At the same time, a purple bolt of lightning along with a flaming meteor suddenly struck Lu Ping's protective force. Finally, an opening was created in the water screen True Force, which had withstood multiple attacks. Taoist Master Xian Shang laughed loudly. His long spear charged forward and stabbed at Lu Ping, whose protective force had been broken. It was as if he had finally found a chance to force Lu Ping back. However, Lu Ping still did not panic. The shadow of a gourd flashed in front of him before disappearing. Immediately after, an earthen yellow stone wall appeared in front of him. Taoist Master Xian Shang's long spear pierced through it and tore a huge hole in the stone shield, but an ice wall appeared in front of him. When the long spear pierced through the ice wall again, the power of the long spear had already been completely used up. It could no longer do anything against the wooden shield that had appeared in front of it. However, at that moment, Taoist Master Xian Ci, who had been thrown out of the battle by Lu Ping, charged at Lu Ping's shoulder again with a short sword that brought with it a ghastly chill. This time, there was no longer a barrier around Lu Ping. Taoist Master Xian Shang, Taoist Master Xian Lei, and Taoist Master Xian Xing laughed loudly, and there were hints of delight in their laughter. It was as if they were incredibly excited that they had finally chased Lu Ping out of the center of the battle. Even Taoist Master Xian Ci, who was flying in midair, and Lu Ping seemed to have noticed his delight. However, something that left the crowd dumbfounded happened once more. Taoist Master Xian Ci, who had rushed towards Lu Ping, retreated at an even faster speed than before. What's going on? When Taoist Master Xian Shang and the other two looked over, they found that at some point in time, a wound had been opened on Taoist Master Xian Ci's shoulder, and blood was seeping out from it. Taoist Master Xian Ci stared at Lu Ping with a stunned expression. After a long while, he said, "Invisible sword?" Lu Ping smiled faintly, and the dark blue figure of the Netherwater sword flashed in front of him before disappearing. The crowd could not help but feel discouraged. To successfully chase away Lu Ping, who had been standing at the center of the battle, they had even given up on the rules of the chaotic battle just now and launched a joint assault on Lu Ping. However, in the end, they still failed at the last moment. At that moment, Taoist Master Xian Wei's crazed laughter suddenly came from beyond the battlefield. Haha, everyone, the rune has been set up. Now, it's up to whoever has the ability to walk out of this rune. Let me make this clear. You can only come at me one by one. If anyone is shameless enough to work together to break the rune, I will naturally be unable to do so as well. However, if you can't break it, then obediently hand over some of the spirit materials you can use to set up the rune, and I will let you go. Don't tell me that you don't have anything on you. If a mighty cultivator in the middle stage of the Zhenling core forging realm doesn't have anything on him, then he will be a disgrace to our sect. It was only at that moment that the people who were engaged in the chaotic battle noticed that a dark screen of light had enveloped them at some point in time. All right, I'll go first. Taoist Xian Shang knocked away a few attacks that tried to stop him and took a huge step forward. His long spear suddenly formed 72 spear afterimages that were the size of bowls in the sky. They attacked the 72 screens of light of the rune, but a muffled bang rang out, and Taoist Xian Shang, who was charging forward, was forced back by a huge force. Once he was sent flying back, Taoist Master Xian Shang suffered a few attacks that looked like they were trying to take advantage of the situation, causing Taoist Xian Shang, who had always been peerlessly brave and fierce in the chaotic battle, to roar in anger. However, because he could not replenish his true origin, he was forced to retreat again and again until he was at the very edge of the chaotic battle. When he saw how pathetic Taoist Xian Shang was, Taoist Master Xian Wei laughed wantonly outside the rune. He was incredibly pleased, and it made Taoist Xian Shang grit his teeth, but he could do nothing about it. After Taoist Xian Shang failed, Taoist Xian Xing and Taoist Xian Lei attacked one after another, but none of them were able to break out of the rune. Only then did the group become serious about the rune with the black screen of light. As expected of a cultivator of the older generation, Taoist Xian Chun was experienced and knowledgeable. After launching 2 consecutive attacks without any results, he seemed to have gained some understanding towards runes. He could not help but curse loudly, "Xian Wei, you wastrel. You actually used an artifact made from second-grade spirit materials to set up a rune? Are you trying to trap and kill a monster?" Taoist Master Xuanwei's irritating laughter once again came from outside the formation. He said, "Martial Uncle Xinshin, we absolutely can't lose this time.